The Priestess's time travel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 551 Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder 14. Park Won-gil respects his girlfriend's father very much. Not to mention that this is the father of his beloved woman. Even if it is his achievements, it is enough for Park Won-gil to respect him. Su Qingni invited Park Won-gil to talk to her, and did not interrogate Park Won-gil like checking the household registration like other fathers-in-law and future mothers-in-law. However, Su Qingni only chatted with Park Won-gil casually, and got a lot of information, almost letting Park Won-gil sell out the Park family. Park's parents knew that Park Won-gil was in love with Su Qingni. Although they had not met Su Qingni, they were basically satisfied with Su Qingni. She was good-looking, had a good family background, studied well, and worked well. Very good, much better than those little stars in the entertainment industry. Although the main industry of the Park family is real estate, there is also an entertainment company under the group. In addition to handling the affairs of the head office, the son also has to deal with the affairs of the entertainment company, and has been in contact with those so-called stars in the entertainment industry all year round. Those little stars all rushed to their son. Both of them were worried that their son would find a little star as a daughter-in-law for them, and then they would be ridiculed by the entire upper class. Now, although the future daughter-in-law has some connections with the entertainment industry, she is a manager of a TV station and has a much higher social status than a little star. Park Yuanji's sister is studying abroad and has not returned yet. This person looks down on Su Qingni in the plot, but she is a good assistant to the male and female protagonists. Obviously, Su Qingni and the heroine Li Shenzhen are both little stars in the entertainment industry, but the hero's sister looks down on Su Qingni and treats the heroine like a good sister. Is this what it means to be attracted to each other? What are your plans for the future? Su Qingni asked Park Yuanji. Have you discussed engagement and marriage? Park Yuanji's face flushed red, but his face was full of surprise and excitement. Uncle, do you promise to marry Qingni to me? That's great. That's great. That, as long as Qingni nods, I will arrange the engagement immediately. Su Qingni's face also blushed, and she said in a delicate voice, "Who wants to marry you?" She looked like she was reluctant to accept. Park Won-gil happily grabbed Su Qingni's hand, took out a small box from his pocket, opened the small box, and found a beautifully shaped diamond ring inside. Park Won-gil put the diamond ring on Su Qingni's left hand, knelt on one knee, and proposed to Su Qingni. "Qingni, marry me. Get up quickly." Su Qingni pulled Park Won-gil with both hands, trying to pull him up. Park Won-gil lay on the ground and refused to get up. "If you don't agree to me, I won't get up." Su Qingni looked at Su Qingni for help. Su Qingni picked up a teacup, tasted the tea carefully, and ignored her daughter's look for help. Su Qingni knew that it was her father who asked her to make her own decision, and her father seemed to agree that Park Won-gil was his son-in-law. Otherwise, he would not have asked Park Won-gil when he was engaged to her. Knowing her father's thoughts and that she really liked Park Won-gil, Su Qingni no longer hesitated. It was actually quite good to marry someone she liked. "I agreed," Su Qingni said in a low voice. Park Won-gil cheered when Su Qingni answered affirmatively, jumped up and hugged Su Qingni, holding her and spinning around. Su Qingni coughed to remind her that there was an elder here. Park Won-gil put Su Qingni down embarrassedly, looking at Su Qingni with sparkling eyes. "Uncle, please make an appointment for you to meet with my parents to discuss my engagement with Qingni." Su Qingni nodded. "You arrange the time, I can come any time. But your father should be very busy, right?" "Yes." Park Won-gil was grateful for Su Qingni's understanding. "I will go back and discuss with him and make an appointment with him." After that, he put Su Qingni down and ran out of the Su family like a gust of wind. "This person is really..." Su Qingni said with disgust in her mouth and a smile on her face. Su Qingni laughed at her daughter's hypocrisy. "He cares about you. Qingni, since you have agreed to marry Park Won-gil, you must manage your marriage well and don't let others take advantage of you." Su Qingni felt that her father's words were meaningful, and asked hurriedly, "Dad, are you dissatisfied with Won-gil in any way?" "No," Su Qingni said, "it's just that Park Won-gil, as the manager of an entertainment company, must have encountered many small stars who want to climb up the dragon and take shortcuts. You must be careful to distinguish and not be misled by unfounded rumors, which will affect your relationship with your husband and wife, but don't relax. Some women are very skilled and design a trap to trap Park Won-gil, which may threaten your marriage. Su Qingni couldn't believe that the heroine in the plot was really simple, kind and beautiful. How could people in the entertainment industry be really simple? But it's all on the surface, it's just a matter of acting skills. Is the heroine really simple, and can she still get to the position of a second or third tier star? A truly simple person will never have a chance to succeed. Dad? Su Yamai wanted to say that she had confidence in Park Won-gil's character, but after thinking about what her father said, although Park Won-gil's character was trustworthy, the character of other women was not trustworthy. Those women were playing tricks, and if Park Won-gil really fell into the trap, and then a woman came to her with an illegitimate child, would she recognize the illegitimate child or divorce Park Won-gil? Su Yamai thought that with her temper, she would definitely divorce Park Won-gil. At that time, wouldn't it be a bargain for other women? Su Yamai gritted her teeth and said, Dad, don't worry, I will protect my marriage well. If anyone dared to destroy her marriage, she would make that person unable to get along in the entertainment industry. As the daughter of a great screenwriter and a middle-level manager of a TV station, she still has some influence in the entertainment industry. The meeting between the parents of both parties was very harmonious, and the engagement went smoothly. In South Korea, engagement is as important as marriage, so Su Yamai and Park Won-gil's engagement ceremony was held very grandly. Park's sister, who was studying abroad, also returned to China because of her brother's engagement ceremony. Park Won-gil took Amelia Su to the airport to pick up Park's sister. Park's sister is about the same age as Amelia Su and is a fashionable woman. She wore Chanel's seasonal clothes and came out pushing a cart with 3 29-inch large boxes. Amelia Su looked around Park's sister's face, body and the 3 large boxes, and she knew what kind of girl she was. There are not too few girls like this in the upper class. Amelia Su has seen a lot and knows how to deal with such girls. Sure enough, her approach was exactly what Park's sister wanted, which made Park's sister treat Amelia Su very well. Amelia Su is not the little star who came from a poor family in the plot, so Park's sister naturally would not look down on Amelia Su. Chapter 552, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder. Park Won-gil took the handle of the cart and said to Park's sister, Go home, Mom is waiting for you at home. Wait a minute. Park's sister shouted to stop Park Won-gil, and then turned around and looked around, as if looking for someone. It seemed that she had found someone, and a surprised smile appeared on Park's sister's face, but then the smile froze on her face, and there was a bit of unhappiness in her eyes. Such emotional changes made Park Won-gil and Jin Yamai curious, and the two followed Park's sister's line of sight. They saw a pair of young men and women standing together and talking with a smile. It seemed that the woman came to pick up the man. The two met again after a long time, and they were very excited and intimate. This pair of men and women are handsome and beautiful, and they look like a perfect match. With this expression, does Park's sister like the man and envy the woman? Sister, do you know those two people? Park Won-gil asked. Sister Park bit her lip and replied, That's Senior Zhang Ren. We are in the same university in the United States. I don't know the woman there. Park Yuanji patted Sister Park on the shoulder and said, Since he already has a girlfriend, don't put your mind on that person anymore. Take it back. Brother will introduce you to a good man, who is guaranteed to be better than this Zhang Ren. I don't want it. How can a girl take back her feelings for her first love? These two people just look like a couple, but who knows if they are? Even if they are a couple, haven't they not married yet? Then she still has a chance. I'll go and find out who that woman is. Sister Park turned around and walked towards the handsome man and beautiful woman in high heels. Park Yuanji had no choice but to push the cart with both hands and asked his fiancée to follow behind his sister. In order to avoid offending his sister, he could immediately step forward to help fill in the gaps. Senior Zheng. Sister Park had already walked to the side of the handsome man and beautiful woman and greeted the handsome man. Hearing the voice, the handsome man looked at Sister Park. Seeing that it was Sister Park, he smiled and responded, It's Junior Sister Park. Are you back home too? Sister Park nodded and said, I'm back home to attend my brother's engagement ceremony. What about Senior Zheng? You shouldn't have graduated yet, right? Zheng Ren replied, Like you, I'm back home to attend my relative's wedding banquet. Then Senior Zheng and I are quite destined to be together. Sister Park smiled. Zheng Ren smiled and didn't answer this question. He is good looking and there are many girls who like him. Naturally, he can see that Sister Park likes him. But Sister Park is not his type. He has someone he likes, and that is the girl next to him. Unfortunately, the girl next to him only regards him as a brother who grew up with him, and has no feelings for him. But he is not discouraged. The girl next to him doesn't have a boyfriend yet. As long as he works hard, he may be able to impress the girl and make her accept him one day. As for other women, he naturally has to keep a distance to avoid misunderstandings from the girls next to him. The girl next to her was very interested in Park. She smiled and greeted Park in a friendly manner. "Are you a classmate of Inha? That's amazing. You are a student of a famous foreign university. You are so outstanding." Although Park was jealous of the girl's good relationship with the man she liked, she was still somewhat happy that she was praised so much. She puffed out her chest proudly and said, "It's okay. Compared with Senior Zhang, I am still far behind. My name is Park Jinsu, and what about you? What's your name? Are you Senior Zhang's girlfriend?" "No, no." The girl waved her hands quickly. "Inha and I are neighbors. We grew up together. Inha is like my real brother." After hearing this, Park felt a little relieved, but she was not happier. Zhang Ren's expression made her realize that the woman in front of her did not like Zhang Ren, but Zhang Ren liked the woman in front of him very much. Is this still a love rival? How to eliminate the love rival? Otherwise, introduce another man to her and let her become someone else's girlfriend, then Senior Zhang will give up? Sister Park's eyes swept over her brother who was standing a little behind, and she felt regretful. If her brother didn't have a fiancé, she could introduce him to the woman in front of her. Her brother was as good as Senior Zhang, but his family was much better than Senior Zhang's. Most women would definitely choose her brother. But she didn't know that she did this in the original plot. In the original plot, Su Yamai was just a little star with a bad background. Sister Park looked down on Su Yamai and didn't want Su Yamai to be her sister-in-law. Just when she wanted to eliminate her love rival, she secretly used means to make Park Yuanji and the heroine meet constantly. It looked like a coincidence, but it was actually arranged by Sister Park. Just as Sister Park thought, Park Yuanji had good conditions, and the heroine took a fancy to Park Yuanji. Although Park Yuanji liked Su Yamai at that time, he also had a good impression of the heroine, who was very good at managing her own image. The plot was on Sister Park's side. It happened that Su Yamai was threatened with black material by the previous entertainment company and had to break up with Park Yuanji. Sister Park let the heroine take advantage of the situation and use her tenderness to warm Park Won-gil's heart of heartbreak, and finally Park Won-gil and the heroine became a couple. And Zhang Ren, as expected by Sister Park, gave up on the heroine and finally became a couple with Sister Park. "My name is Li Shunzhen." The woman said her name. Park Won-gil had no impression of this name, but Su Yamai did. She remembered that in a TV series she was in charge of, there was an actress named Li Shunzhen who played the fourth female. Su Yamai looked at Li Shunzhen carefully and she was familiar. It was indeed that actress. Su Yamai thought about it, but she didn't think about going over to say hello to Li Shunzhen. The status of actors in the crew is not low but not high, and it can't be compared with her as a manager of the TV station. Su Yamai watched Sister Park and Li Shunzhen greet each other, and she felt that Sister Park was still too simple. Her thoughts had been seen by Li Shunzhen a long time ago, and she thought that others didn't know. Su Yamai didn't like Sister Park, there was no reason, she just felt that she didn't like her, maybe Sister Park didn't suit her taste. In the future, she would just have to deal with Sister Park for Park Won-gil's sake. She didn't want to have a heart-to-heart with such a sister-in-law. Sister Park talked to Li Shunzhen for a few words, and the two of them became friends at first sight and exchanged contact information. Seeing that Zhang Ren's mind was on Li Shunzhen, Sister Park gritted her teeth and said goodbye to the two of them. "Let's go home." Sister Park walked angrily to Park Won-gil and the others, left her a word, and walked out of the airport heavily in her high heels. Park Won-gil was used to his sister's temper and felt a little embarrassed for his fiancée. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 553, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder. Su Yamai smiled sympathetically. No matter how dissatisfied a smart woman is with her sister-in-law, She will not express it directly in front of her future husband and parents-in-law. Park Yuanji told Park's parents about the airport incident. Park's parents also felt that Su Yamei was sensible and liked this future daughter-in-law even more. As for their own daughter, Park's parents knew what kind of character she was, and they didn't care much about her wanting to plot against other women. Anyway, the family has money, and if Park's sister gets into trouble, they can help their daughter wipe her ass. For example, when their daughter got into trouble in high school, their family relied on money to solve it and sent their daughter to study abroad. After that, there was nothing to worry about, right? Park's sister can't use her brother to eliminate her love rival now, but she knows a lot of rich men. Park's sister looked around among her family's friends and found 2 candidates. Park's sister began to invite Li Shenzhen to play together in the name of a friend, let Li Shenzhen join their circle, and then create opportunities for Li Shenzhen to have more contact with the candidates she selected. Park's sister thought, well, one of the 2 candidates should be able to become a boyfriend and girlfriend with Li Shenzhen, right? Don't think she can't see it. Li Shenzhen looks innocent on the surface, but in fact, like many small stars, she is a scheming woman who wants to climb up the ladder. Why doesn't Li Shenzhen accept Zhang Ren? Because Zhang Ren is not the son of a rich family. And Li Shenzhen wants to hook up with a rich and wealthy son-in-law. However, reality is not what she wants. In the plot, Park Won-gil can become a couple with Li Shenzhen, because Park Won-gil's first girlfriend is a small star in the entertainment industry, and after the breakup, he was empty and sad, so Li Shenzhen took advantage of the opportunity to win Park Won-gil. Those 2 candidates are not Park Won-gil. They don't look down on small stars. Their wives want noble ladies, women who can bring benefits to the family, not small stars with ordinary family backgrounds who can bring little benefits to their families. The character of these 2 candidates is good. They look down on small stars, and they will not treat small stars as playthings like other rich kids, so they will not have any intersection with Li Shenzhen. Sister Park's plan failed. Li Shenzhen felt so uncomfortable. Of course, she understood why Sister Park tried to win her over and match her with a rich young man. Sister Park's thoughts were not visible to others, but how could she, who knew how to hide her true thoughts and use her appearance to gain benefits since she was a child, not see it? She just went with the flow, thinking that she could really hook up with a rich man. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? It's not so easy to get into the upper class. So what if she looks good? Without a good family background, rich young men would never choose her to hide their other half. Even if a rich young man came to her, he just wanted to find a lover, just wanted to play with her, and had no intention of marrying her. How could this be possible? She was a simple and kind person who cherished herself to the outside world. If she became someone's lover, she could only be rich for a while, but she would never marry into a wealthy family. Li Shenzhen couldn't help but think of Sister Park's brother. She met him at the airport at that time. He looked good and was quite in line with her preferences. It's a pity that he already has a fiancée, and the fiancée is also the management of the TV station, and has the power of life and death over their crew. Otherwise, he should hint to Sister Park and let Sister Park introduce her brother to him. Li Shenzhen, what are you daydreaming about? Where are the lines? Did you eat them? The director's shout came from her ears, and Li Shenzhen quickly retracted her flying thoughts. She was still filming, and she quickly immersed herself in the emotions of the role, so as not to be scolded by the director again. This time, she got the female number 4 with great difficulty. If the director was not satisfied with her and replaced her, she would never have such a good opportunity again. Li Shenzhen gathered her mind and devoted herself to the shaping of the role. It must be said that Li Shenzhen's acting skills are very good. She quickly entered the role and transformed into the female number 4 in the plot. Ah! Someone suddenly screamed. Shenzhen, get out of the way. Get out of the way. Someone shouted. The director also held a loudspeaker and shouted at Li Shenzhen, Li Shenzhen, get out of the way. Li Shenzhen was at a loss, and did not dodge as everyone asked. She really didn't know where to hide. In front? Behind? Left? Or right? She looked up and was stunned. A black object in her sight was getting bigger and bigger, and it was smashing towards her. Li Shenzhen only had time to scream, and was hit on the head by the falling props, and fainted. Li Shenzhen was sent to the hospital by the crew. Fortunately for the crew, Li Shenzhen was not seriously injured. She was only slightly concussed, and there was no big problem. Even her beautiful face was not damaged. Li Shenzhen woke up and was a little confused. Where is this? Why does it look like a hospital? What happened? Why did she end up in the hospital? Li Shenzhen quickly recalled what she had experienced before. Well, she found evidence of Su Yami's crime and gave it to Park Won-gil. Park Won-gil was completely disappointed with Su Yami and gave the evidence to the police, and Su Yami was arrested. There was no third party between her and Park Won-gil to destroy their relationship. The relationship between the two became better, and Park Won-gil also proposed to her. However, Park's parents did not like Su Yami or her, and did not allow Park Won-gil to marry her. They wanted to arrange an engagement for Park Won-gil with another rich lady. After she learned the news, she immediately went to the scene of the engagement ceremony to stop it, but had a car accident on the way. She didn't die? Li Shenzhen touched her face and touched her body from top to bottom. There was no external injury. She took a few deep breaths and felt no pain in her body. There should be no internal injury. Li Shenzhen quickly got off the bed and walked to the nurse station. She pulled a nurse and asked, "Nurse, how is my health? Where am I injured?" The nurse recognized Li Shenzhen and answered her, "You just fainted after being hit on the head. You have a little concussion. You will be discharged after 1 day of observation in the hospital." Just a concussion? No other injuries? Li Shenzhen was happy. She was indeed a blessed person. She was not injured even after being hit by a car. Will my luck allow me to win back Park Won-gil and marry into a wealthy family? Li Shenzhen looked up at the wall behind the nurse's station. There was a clock on it. The minute and hour hands showed the time was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was not too late. The engagement ceremony was to be held at 6 o'clock in the evening. There were still 3 hours left, enough for me to rush to the ceremony and take Park Won-gil away. Chapter 554, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder. The engagement ceremony of Park Won-gil and Su Yami was held in a 5-star hotel in Seoul. This hotel was opened by Mrs. Park's family. Park Won-gil was considered a family member. The hotel had already arranged a banquet hall for Park Won-gil. Su Yami and Park Won-gil walked out of the lounge in traditional costumes and walked to the stage in front of the banquet hall. Su Qingni and Park's parents were already waiting for the two newlyweds on the stage. The two newlyweds were a perfect match and won praise from all the people who came to the banquet. Park Won-gil smiled, feeling the warmth of his arms, and his heart was filled with happiness. He turned his head to look at his beautiful fiancée and felt that something in his heart was filled, as if all the regrets hidden deep in his heart had disappeared. Wait a minute. The door of the banquet hall was suddenly pushed open with great force, and a young woman appeared at the door, attracting everyone's attention at once. The guests were surprised and excited, and thought with a mood of looking at Haixi, "Is someone here to steal the marriage? Oh my, this woman is pretty. Yuanji, don't get engaged to someone else." The woman walked into the banquet hall with tears in her eyes, crying and saying, walking towards Park Yuanji. "Yuanji, didn't you say you loved me the most? Why are you getting engaged to another woman?" The woman's voice was full of lingering complaints, and she looked very beautiful when she cried, like a pear blossom in the rain, which could make men feel pity for her. However, the people who came to the banquet were all well-informed people. Perhaps some men had bad thoughts because of the woman's appearance, but the rest of them were disdainful of such a woman. Su Yami's face suddenly turned cold, and her hand pulled out of Park Yuanji's arm. Park Yuanji was shocked, and hurriedly grabbed Su Yami's hand, holding it tightly, and hurriedly explained to Su Yami, "Yami, I don't know her. I don't know where this lunatic came from." The woman only had Park Yuanji in her eyes, and didn't look at what the bride looked like. In her mind, she was just a woman that the Park family found to marry Park Yuanji. Except for her better family background, there was no threat to her. She and Park Won-gil had gone through the hardships of love, and the two of them were in love with each other. Park Won-gil now only had her in his heart. "Won-gil, how can you say I'm crazy?" The woman looked shocked, covering her chest and asked in a trembling voice, "Have you forgotten the vows we made together? Have you forgotten the years we walked hand in hand? Have you forgotten that when you accompanied Su Yami to abandon us, I always accompanied you? Have you forgotten that Su Yami tried to sow discord between us, and you felt guilty about me and promised to trust and love only me in the future?" Su Yami looked at the woman in front of her with strange eyes, and then looked at Park Won-gil, asking, "When did I abandon you? When did I sow discord between you again?" Park Won-gil hurriedly said, "It's said that this woman is crazy, don't believe her words." I don't know her at all, everything is her own fantasy. This person should be sent to a mental hospital immediately. The woman shouted sadly, Won Gil, why do you treat me like this? She looked incredulous. This woman is naturally Li Shunzhen, but after being hit on the head by a prop, the core has been changed, and it has been replaced by Li Shunzhen, who is in love with Park Won Gil in the original plot. After Li Shunzhen woke up, she had no memory of her original body. She only thought that she was hit by a car and sent to the hospital. Fortunately, she was lucky enough to have only a slight concussion. She was anxious to destroy Park Won Gil's engagement ceremony, and wanted to make herself appear in front of many upper-class guests to let them know that she and Park Won Gil were a couple in love. Not only did she destroy the marriage between the Park family and other families, but she also forced the Park family to accept her. Coincidentally, in Li Shunzhen's original world, the hotel where Park Won Gil got engaged was the same hotel as the one in this world, and even the banquet hall was the same. Li Shunzhen had already mastered the information and went straight to the banquet hall to kill. She was too confident and did not pay attention to the surnames of the engaged man and woman outside the banquet hall. The woman's surname was different from what she had inquired. You crazy woman, I don't even know me, why are you pestering me? Park Won Gil felt wronged. How could he be pestered by a madman? You know, he really didn't know this woman. Park Won Gil had forgotten that he had met Li Sunjin once at the airport. Li Sunjin was shocked and shouted, how could you not know me? We love each other so much. By the way, Jinju is the witness of our love all the way, she can testify for us. Li Sunjin turned around and looked for the table closest to the table, and easily found Park's sister, and shouted, Jinju, come up and testify for me quickly. Your brother and I are a couple in love, and you introduced us to each other, and you also created many opportunities for us to be together. Park Jinju was in her heart. MMP. If she had known that Li Sunjin was a lunatic, she would not have associated with this person. Introducing her own eldest brother to her? Haha. This person really has a delusion. Seeing that everyone's eyes were on her, Park Jinju hurriedly denied loudly, I didn't introduce my brother to this crazy woman. Since she introduced Li Sunjin to many people in the circle, Park Jinju would not deny that she knew Li Sunjin at this time. She could only say, although I know her, I have never thought of letting her be my sister-in-law. She is just a little star and has no qualifications to be my sister-in-law. I can still tell this clearly. Park's parents looked better after hearing this. They were really worried that their daughter had instilled something in the crazy woman and let the crazy woman ruin their brother's engagement ceremony. Park's parents were very dissatisfied with their daughter. They suspected that their daughter might want to seize the inheritance rights of their brother. They were alert and thought about making a will after a while. Of course, all their own property would be handed over to their son. As for their daughter, it would be enough to give her some real estate and jewelry, and she would not be given any more shares of the company, so as to prevent her from having ambitions. Park Jinju did not expect that she would get rid of her love rival, but ended up pitting herself. Originally, she could still own shares in the family company, but now that Li Sunjin had caused trouble, she could no longer get any shares. Li Sunjin was devastated when she heard Park Jinju's negative answer. Why didn't Park Jinju help her? Wasn't she her best friend? She could speak well of her in front of Inha. Did she give up on Inha? Li Sunjin was about to fall, and her sad eyes turned to Park Won Gil. As a result, her sight swept across the woman next to Park Won Gil, today's bride, and her eyes widened in disbelief. Chapter 555, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder. Li Shunzhen stared at the bride in disbelief, and screamed sharply, why is it you? Su Yamai raised her eyebrows and asked, how could it not be me? Li Shunzhen, shouldn't you be in prison? Yuanji and I finally sent you to prison, how could you run away? Park Yuanji was furious. This crazy woman tried to blackmail him, and he could not care too much about her. After all, she was a lunatic, but this crazy woman actually insulted his beloved and said that he and this crazy woman caused Yamai to go to prison. This is intolerable. Regardless of whether this woman is crazy or not, he will not let this woman go. Security, drag this crazy woman out. Park Yuanji shouted angrily, send her to a mental hospital, let the doctor in the mental hospital take good care of her, and don't let her out to bite people casually. Li Shunzhen's head is now a paste. Su Yamai committed a crime and will definitely not be released. But what about Su Yamai in front of him? Is it because the person in front of him looks exactly like Su Yamei that Park Yuanji agreed to get engaged to her and abandon him? Park Won-gil couldn't let go of Amelia Su, so he found a stand-in? Li Shunxian immediately shouted, Won-gil, look carefully, this woman is not Amelia Su, she just looks like Amelia Su. That woman, you are just a stand-in, a stand-in. Won-gil got engaged to you because you look like his first love. Park Won-gil. Amelia Su. Amelia Su softened her voice and apologized to Park Won-gil. Won-gil, I'm sorry, I shouldn't doubt you because of a lunatic. No need to apologize. Park Won-gil gently held Amelia Su's shoulders. We were all fooled by a lunatic. Li Shunxian shouted unwillingly, and the security guard simply blocked her mouth and dragged her out. There was silence in the banquet hall, and everyone hadn't come back to their senses. Su Qingni pushed the wheelchair forward a few steps, breaking the silence in the room. I'm sorry to make you laugh, but it's just a lunatic who ran away from a mental hospital. Now everything has been handled, let's continue the ceremony. Everyone came back to their senses and laughed and agreed with Su Qingni. Su Yamei and Park Won-gil walked up to Su Qingni gratefully. Park Won-gil assured Su Qingni, Father-in-law, I really don't know that woman. I only have Yamei in my heart. I will love Yamei all my life and will never let her down. Well, I believe you. Su Qingni nodded. I didn't expect the heroine to be reborn. But even if she was reborn, it would be useless. Su Yamei is not the Su Yamei in the plot. She will not be threatened by others and will not break up with Park Won-gil. She will not have the opportunity to get promoted. She can only be regarded as a mental patient with ulterior motives or delusional. Su Qingni smiled and felt very refreshed. With a father like him as a golden finger for his daughter, it would be useless even if the heroine was reborn. The engagement ceremony was finally completed smoothly. Although there was a little unpleasantness in the middle, everyone ignored it unanimously. She is just a lunatic, why bother with her? However, Park Won-gil did not let this matter go easily. He destroyed his engagement ceremony and slandered his fiancée. How could he let that crazy woman go easily? The hotel belongs to Park Won-gil's grandfather. When Park Won-gil went to the hotel to ask, he knew which mental hospital the hotel had sent Li Sun-jin to. Park Won-gil went to the mental hospital and asked to see Li Sun-jin. Park Won-gil thought a lot. He didn't know Li Sun-jin. Why did Li Sun-jin want to touch him? Even if she had delusions, she wouldn't find him so accurately, right? There was something fishy about this matter. It was very likely that someone wanted to deal with him and asked Li Sun-jin, a lunatic, to take the lead. Who could it be? A face appeared in Park Won-gil's mind. Like Park's parents, Park Won-gil thought that the person who instigated Li Sun-jin behind the scenes was Park's sister. Park Won-gil was dissatisfied with Park's sister. If he hadn't still cared about the brother-sister relationship, he would have retaliated against Park's sister. But Park Won-gil claimed to be a good brother. His sister could be unkind to him, but he would not be unjust to his sister. He would not retaliate against Park's sister. He just asked his parents to send Park's sister abroad as soon as possible so as not to be an eyesore in front of him. Park Won-gil asked the mental hospital to prepare a room for him and Li Sun-jin. He wanted to personally confirm with Li Sun-jin whether the person behind the scenes was Park's sister. Although the mental hospital diagnosed Li Sun-jin with delusional disorder, which is not very aggressive, for Park Won-gil's safety, the doctor and nurse still tied Li Sun-jin to a special chair to prevent her from suddenly hurting others. Park Won-gil opened the door and walked into the room. Li Sun-jin was already in the room, but after not seeing her for 2 days, Li Sun-jin looked 10 years older and no longer beautiful. Won-gil? Won-gil? Are you here to save me? Li Sun-jin saw Park Won-gil, and her eyes were filled with excitement and joy. Park Won-gil snorted coldly, not wanting to listen to Li Sun-jin's crazy talk anymore, and asked directly, Li Sun-jin, you came to my engagement ceremony to disrupt it, did Park Jinju ask you to do this? No, I wanted to go by myself. Li Sun-jin said hurriedly. Park Jinju was very excessive. At the beginning, she didn't like Su Yamei, so she kept encouraging me to pursue you and help me create opportunities to get close to you. After Su Yamei was arrested, she stopped helping me, and even hid her engagement with someone else from me. She was really using me. Well, isn't she afraid that I will let Brother Ren ignore her? Park Won-gil extracted a message from the crazy talk. It was indeed Park's sister who instigated Li Sun-jin to disrupt the engagement ceremony. Park's sister actually doesn't like Yamei, and you can't tell from the outside. Park Won-gil frowned even tighter. What else did Park Jin-ju order you to do? Park Won-gil asked. Lee Soon-jin snorted disdainfully. Who is Park Jin-ju? How can she order me around? Won-gil, help me untie myself and take me out of this horrible place. Won-gil, don't you love me the most? How can you bear to see me suffer? This was her paranoia coming on again. I only love your Mei, and I won't love other women. Park Won-gil said coldly. Lee Soon-jin screamed, how could you not love me? We obviously loved each other so much, Lee Soon-jin talked endlessly about how she and Park Won-gil got together, describing how she and Park Won-gil loved each other, how they worked together to defeat the vicious female supporting role Su Yamei. Park Won-gil felt like he was listening to a fairy tale. How much this woman hated Yamei. She even slandered Yamei as a murderer, and said that Yamei had been sexually exploited by the entertainment industry many times. Obviously Yamei was the most innocent. Park Won-gil listened to Lee Soon-jin talking more and more excitedly, and felt that this person's paranoia was getting worse and worse. He couldn't get any more information from her, so he simply left the room. Chapter 556, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder. After returning home, Park Won-gil told Park's parents what he had explored. Park's parents confirmed their guess and were very disappointed with their daughter, Park Mimi, and began to urge Park Mimi to leave home and go abroad. Because Park Mimi knew Lee Soon-jin, a lunatic, she was ridiculed by many people in the circle, who ridiculed her for being blind and embarrassed her. Park Mimi didn't want to stay in the country anymore, so she went abroad as soon as her parents urged her. However, she didn't know that her parents' and brothers' misunderstanding of her had ruined half of her future, and the money she was supposed to get was also much less. But Park Mimi was not in the mood to think about these things now, because she was now fully focused on chasing men. Zhang Ren also returned to school after attending the engagement ceremony of his relatives. Before he left, the news that Lee Soon-jin was sent to a mental hospital because of delusional disorder spread. Zhang Ren heard that Lee Soon-jin imagined that another man was her lover, ruined other people's engagement ceremonies, and was crazy, and he didn't believe it at first. But he went to the mental hospital to see Lee Soon-jin, who pulled him to find Park Jin-ju, and asked him to use Park Jin-ju's love for him to help Lee Soon-jin leave the mental hospital, so that Lee Soon-jin could continue to entangle Park Won-gil. Zhang Ren's heart was hurt. Zhang Ren withdrew his love for Lee Soon-jin and left the country sadly. Park's sister took advantage of the opportunity and asked Zhang Ren to start accepting her. Won-gil, I don't want to live anymore, can you die with me? Su Yamei smiled at Park Won-gil, as long as you accompany me to jump from here, I will let Lee Soon-jin go. As she said that, Su Yamei kicked Lee Soon-jin, who was tied up like a caterpillar at her feet, with her toes. Yamei, how did you become so vicious? Park Won-gil was heartbroken. Su Yamei snorted coldly, yes, I am vicious, and your Shunsun is pure and kind. Compared with her, I am the mud in the ground and the clouds in the sky, so you discard me like a worn-out shoe, saying that you will only love me for the rest of your life, but you still find another woman. Park Yuanji, I will give you another chance. Do you choose to die with me or let your beloved woman die? How should Park Yuanji choose? He doesn't want his beloved girl to die, and he doesn't want to die himself. What should he do? Su Yamei saw him hesitating and sneered, what do you say you love the most? In fact, you only love yourself the most. Since you don't want to die with me, let your beloved woman die. After speaking, she stretched out her hand and dragged Lee Shunsun to the edge of the cliff. When they were about to reach the edge of the cliff, they threw people off the cliff and into the rolling sea water. Suddenly, there was a sound of a wooden warehouse, and Su Yamei's body shook and fell 2 steps away from the cliff. No, Park Yuanji sat up suddenly from the bed, gasping for breath. It took a long time for his scattered eyes to come together and see the scene in front of him clearly. This isn't his own bedroom. Just now, he was dreaming, and everything in the dream was not real. He was scared to death, but fortunately it was not real. Did he say that? How could Yamei be a murderer? He and Yamei loved each other so much, how could he be with other women and hurt Yamei? He was affected by Lee Shunsun's dream. Thinking back to Lee Shunsun's crazy words and the scenes in the dream, Park Yuanji found the biggest flaw, Su Qingni. Obviously Yamei's father was still alive and well, but in the dream in Lee Shunsun's words, Yamei's father did not exist. Su Yamei, who had no father, was a poor little thing. She had to join the entertainment industry to make a living. She was cheated by the entertainment company, so there were so many black materials, which eventually led to Yamai's irreparable. But the problem is that in reality, Yamai's father is still alive, and he is still so powerful, respected by many people like a master. Sure enough, he was affected by Li Shunxian's crazy words. Park Won-gil tapped his head and smiled self-deprecatingly. He picked up the alarm clock on the bedside table and found that it was already 6 o'clock in the morning. Park Won-gil was no longer sleepy, so he simply got up, washed up, had breakfast, and went to find the Su family. Su Yamai opened the door and let Park Won-gil in. Park Won-gil saw Su Qingni watching the morning news in the living room, and hurried over to flatter her. He was so attentive that Su Yamai couldn't bear to look at him. Su Yamai pulled Park Won-gil aside and whispered, "Did you take the wrong medicine today? Why are you following your father like a dog?" Park Won-gil glanced at Su Qingni, turned his head and said to Su Yamai, "Yamai, Dad is so awesome. Dad is awesome." Su Yamai's tone was a little proud, but it was the truth. Park Won-gil nodded repeatedly. If Su's father was not so awesome, his beloved Yamai would become the same as the Yamai in his dream. Park Won-gil's admiration for Su Qingni was like a torrent of water, and he respected his father-in-law even more, treating him as filially as his own father. "Hey, brother-in-law, you're here so early." Su Yaxi came out of his bedroom with a mess of hair, yawning. Park Won-gil said good morning to his brother-in-law and advised him casually, "Yazai, don't stay up late all the time. It's not good for your health." Su Yazai walked to the sofa and sat down, saying, I know. Su Yamai snorted, "You only know how to say you know, but you don't know how to correct it with practical actions." Su Yazai snorted twice, "I can't help it. I'm a night owl." Seeing that her younger brother was stubborn, Su Yamai was so angry that she asked for help. "Dad, talk to your younger brother." Su Qingni didn't take her eyes off the TV, and said lightly, "Okay, turn off the internet at home when you go to bed at night, and your brother won't stay up late." "Good idea." Su Yamai smiled, "You are worthy of being a father. You have pinched the life gate of my younger brother in one go." "No." Su Yazai wailed and rushed towards Su Qingni. "Dad, you can't let your sister do this to me. I have to contact netizens at night and discuss technology with them. You can't cut my internet cable." Su Yamai said, "What netizens? We have to chat at night. Can't we chat during the day?" Su Yaxi snorted, "Most of my netizens are from foreign countries. It's night here, but it's daytime over there. My little brother actually knows so many foreign friends." Su Yamai was surprised. Her little brother is still in college and has never been abroad, but he has the ability to know so many foreigners, which makes her look at him with new eyes. Su Yaxi proudly said, "I know a lot of foreigners, and they are all dormant by my technology." Technology. Su Yamai thought about it and understood. Hacking technology? Your hacking technology is better than that of foreigners. Chapter 557, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder. Your hacking skills are better than those of foreigners. Su Yaxi nodded vigorously, very proud. Su Qingni glanced at him, with a slight curl of her lips. The reason why the young man has such high hacking skills is that she forged a book about hacking skills and put it in the young man's pile of books. The young man saw the book and thought he bought it by accident. The young man's current hacking skills have surpassed this era and can be called the best in the world. He is revered as a god by everyone on the internet. The young man sneaked into other people's pentagonal buildings and wandered around, and also entered Buckingham Palace to play, and, all quietly, without being discovered. It's just that after doing this kind of thing too much, the young man also feels boring, and now his mind is all on playing games. He didn't tell the truth to Su Yamai. He didn't sleep at night. This kid was actually playing games. South Korea has just released an online game called Legendary World, and the young man is now addicted to it. Su Qingni simply opened her mouth to expose the young man. "Aren't you sacrificing your sleep time to play games?" "What? You are actually playing games." Su Yamai was angry, and she rolled up her sleeves to teach her younger brother a lesson. Su Yaxi quickly jumped up from the sofa to escape her sister's care, and while running away, she cried out in complaint, "Dad, don't expose my secrets." Su Yamai snorted, "You are losing your ambition because of playing with things, and you dare to blame your father for exposing your secrets. Your skin is really itchy." Then she picked up the feathered duster in the vase and hit Su Yaxi. Su Yaxi ran faster and quickly hid behind Park Won-gil, shouting, "Brother-in-law, help me." Park Won-gil was pulled by his brother-in-law to block the knife and was hit by the feather duster. The feather duster was quite painful when it hit his body, which shows how much strength Su Yamei used. Park Won-gil gasped when he was hit. Su Yamei felt distressed and quickly put down the feather duster, but checked Park Won-gil's arm and ignored Su Yaxi. Su Yaxi made a face at the fiancé, jumped back to Su Qingni's side, and said to Su Qingni sadly, "Dad, you exposed my secrets like this. I can't play games at night in the future." His sister would definitely turn off the network at a certain time, and then take the dialer to her bedroom and lock it. Su Qingni finally retracted her gaze from the TV and looked at Su Yaxi. "Is Legendary World fun?" "It's okay," Su Yaxi said, "not as fun as Diablo or StarCraft." Su Qingni said, "If you design a game yourself, can it be better than Legendary World?" Su Yaxi widened his eyes and asked Su Qingni, "Dad, what do you mean?" Su Qingni smiled slightly. "Since you like playing games so much, why don't you develop a game yourself? Develop a game that suits your taste best." Su Yaxi's eyes were shining. He likes playing games and coding. If that's the case, why not make a game yourself like his father said? Su Yaxi laughed. "Dad, thank you for waking me up. I will make a game myself right now." After that, he rushed to his room. "Come back." Su Qingni called Su Yaxi. "Do you think it's so easy to make a game? You have programming skills, but what about art? Music? Story? Are you capable of all of them?" Su Yaxi. Well, he really didn't think of these. Su Qingni smiled and waved, and Su Yaxi hurried back to sit beside Su Qingni, with his hands on his knees, as well behaved as a first-grade student. Su Qingni said, "You go and register a game company. I will invest 1 billion won in your company as startup capital. You can recruit more people, build a team, and then make games." Su Yaxi nodded repeatedly, feeling so happy. 1 billion. With so much money, as long as the team is built, he can focus on making games without worrying about various problems. As for recruiting personnel and company management, well, he is not proficient in this area, but he has friends. His friends are studying knowledge in business management, and he can pull his friends to be strong men. Su Yaxi smiled and ran back to the room with the check Su Qingni gave him. Su Yamei pulled Park Won-gil over and asked worriedly, "Dad, you gave your little brother so much money, aren't you afraid that he will squander it all? If he squanders it, then so be it. Just consider it as buying experience." Su Qingni smiled and said, "You should have more confidence in your little brother. Yaxi is a genius in computers. Maybe the game company he founded will become a large international company, and it will be more valuable than the assets of the Park family in the future." "How is it possible?" Su Yamei and Park Won-gil didn't believe it. Su Qingni smiled. The vision of the two young people was still too limited. The doorbell rang, and the servants of the family opened the door. Quan Junayu ran in and shouted, "Yaxi, Su Yaxi, what kind of company do you want to set up? Did my little brother capture Junayu's strong man?" Su Yamei said with a smile. Su Qingni nodded. "Junayu studied business management. It would be strange if Yaxi didn't look for him." Park Yuanji, Junayu came really quickly. Although the two families are neighbors, the speed at which Quan Junayu ran over should be as soon as he received Su Yaxi's call for help, which shows that he attaches great importance to what Su Yaxi said. But think about it, if I were their age, I would definitely take this matter very seriously. Going home to inherit the industry is not as happy as starting my own business. What's more, they now even have the startup capital. Park Yuanji respects his future father-in-law even more. Only with such a good father can two excellent children be taught. Su Yaxi came out of her bedroom, took Quan Junayu's arm and went back to the room. Quan Junayu only had time to say hello to Su Qingni, Su Yamei and Park Yuanji. The two young people whispered in the room for a long time. They were absent-minded after lunch, and then went back to the room to discuss the establishment of a game company. The next day, Quan Junayu went to register the company with Su Yaxi. When the parents heard that Quan Junayu and Su Yaxi were going to start a business together, Su Yaxi's father gave him 1 billion in startup funds, and they couldn't help but sigh at Su Qingni's generosity. The two did not want their sons to be outdone, so they also gave Quan Junayu 1 billion in startup funds. Now the two young people have a lot of money in their hands, and they don't have to worry about the problem of insufficient funds to create a new game. With money, there is no need to worry about the problem of talent. In less than a month, a new company named Ziyu Games was established. The company currently has less than 30 people, But these 30 people will create the largest game kingdom in the future. Chapter 558, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder. Su Yaxi was in charge of technical work, and Quan Junai was in charge of management work, and a small game company was established. Su Yaxi now went to school and worked to make games. He was so busy that he didn't even go home. He slept on the floor in the company with a group of programmers. Su Qingni was worried that the child would wear down his body, so she ordered nutritious meals from the big hotel every day and sent them to Su Yaxi's company. The company's employees also benefited from it, and Su Qingni didn't care about such a small amount of money. She really didn't lack money now. That day, Su Qingni asked the driver at home to take her to Su Yaxi's company. Su Yaxi said that their game had been made in general, and only some details needed to be adjusted. Su Yaxi invited Su Qingni to the company to try out the game and give her opinions on their game. Although Su Qingni's legs couldn't walk, she still sits in a wheelchair most of the time. The driver pushed Su Qingni to Su Yaxi's company. Suddenly, the cleaning worker slipped and fell forward. The bucket in his hand shook at a large angle, and the water in the bucket spilled out and rushed towards Su Qingni and the other person. Su Qingni reacted quickly, got up from the wheelchair and stepped aside. The dirty water was splashing on the wheelchair, soaking not only the wheelchair but also half of the driver's clothes. The driver's face turned black. Although Su Qingni didn't have a black face, she didn't have a good impression of the cleaner who caused everything. She could see clearly. There were no bulges on the floor, no water stains, oil stains, etc. that could make people slip. Normal people wouldn't fall down. Does this cleaner have an underdeveloped cerebellum, or is he deliberately trying to cheat? How do you walk? The driver couldn't help but scold the cleaner. You did it on purpose, didn't you? Otherwise, how come this cleaner, although he pretended to slip, finally stood firm, and he was the unlucky one? I didn't mean to. The cleaner hurriedly explained, making a tearful expression, as if the driver bullied her and she was scared. What's going on? Hearing the noise outside, the people in the company came out to ask. Seeing the cleaner about to cry, and the driver's tall stature and fierce expression, everyone in the company thought that the driver had bullied the cleaner. What's wrong with you? How can you bully a girl? Immediately, some people who sympathized with women began to bombard the driver. The driver was so innocent. He was doused with dirty water, which was already aggrieved enough, and he was scolded. It was even more aggrieved, okay? The driver was an honest man, not someone you can talk to. He was accused by so many people that he couldn't even distinguish and was sweating profusely. At this time, Su Qingni spoke up. Madam, you splashed me and my driver with dirty water. Don't you want to apologize? Why do you still look aggrieved? It's as if my driver bullied you. It should be me and my driver who are aggrieved, right? Because of your action, I can't even sit in a wheelchair. My legs can't stand standing for a long time. The accusations of the crowd stopped abruptly, and they saw that there was another wheelchair in front of the driver. At this time, the wheelchair was already wet, and the driver's front collar was also wet. There was a middle-aged man standing against the wall nearby, but he was not standing steadily and looked like he was about to fall. Everyone. It seemed like they had misunderstood. At this time, several girls who disliked the cleaner spoke up. It's Liu Ziya's fault again. Every time she did something wrong, she looked aggrieved, which made others misunderstand her and think that the people she implicated bullied her. The person who said this had a resentful tone. It seemed that he was also the one who was harmed by Liu Ziya and misunderstood by others, just like in reality. Su Qingni narrowed her eyes. Liu Ziya? The heroine in Su Yaxi's plot. Unexpectedly, she actually ran to the side of the male protagonist and the male supporting role. Dad? Uncle? Su Yaxi and Quan Junai, the two big bosses of the company, heard the noise and came out. Seeing that Su Qingni looked like she was about to fall at any time, they hurried forward to support Su Qingni. Dad, what's wrong with you? Uncle, hurry to my office. Hearing the two bosses' calls, everyone's heart was startled. Did they offend the boss's father just now? One by one, they all slid back to the office with their necks shrunk. Su Yaxi and Quan Junai helped Su Qingni walk to the office. Su Qingni told the driver as she walked, go back and wash up first, change into clean clothes, and ask Mrs. Zhang to clean the wheelchair. Come pick me up in 3 hours. Yes, sir. The driver hurriedly pushed the wheelchair away. He was wet and felt very uncomfortable. Moreover, it was dirty water that splashed on him. He felt even more uncomfortable and hurried to change his clothes. Dad, what's going on? Su Yaxi asked in confusion. Su Qingni said lightly, the cleaner of your company splashed my wheelchair and lounge in with dirty water. Fortunately, I hid quickly, otherwise I would have been splashed too. Yes, sorry. A loud apology sounded behind the three people, scaring them. Turning around, they saw Liu Ziya bowing deeply to them to apologize. Su Yaxi narrowed her eyes, with a look of displeasure on her face. Just as she was about to reprimand Liu Ziya, Quan Junayu spoke up, Ziya, be careful next time. Uncle is pregnant and won't bother with you. Su Qingni was very satisfied with Su Yaxi's reaction. As for Quan Junayu, he was not her son anyway. And he was the male lead, and it was normal for him to be attracted to the female lead and start a love relationship with her. It was the family's parents' business to oppose their love, and it had nothing to do with her. Su Qingni said lightly, since Junayu said I was pregnant, I naturally wouldn't bother with a little girl. Thank you, thank you. Liu Ziya said gratefully, you are such a good person. Su Qingni, who was given the good guy card, chuckled. Su Qingni went to Su Yaxi's office. Su Yaxi brought a computer to Su Qingni and taught her how to enter the game made by their company. The login interface was displayed on the screen. Su Qingni was not in a hurry to enter the game. After sending Quan Junayu away, she pulled her son to sit next to her and asked, tell me honestly, how do you feel about Liu Ziya? What feeling? Su Yaxi answered puzzledly, why does Dad ask such a question? Don't worry about why I ask, just answer my question. Okay. Su Yaxi was helpless, with an expression that he couldn't do anything about his own father. I just think this woman is very troublesome, and stupid. She can fall flat on the ground when she walks. Her cerebellum is underdeveloped. She's also a crybaby. Chapter 559, Children are supporting roles and cannon fodder. Su Qingni was very satisfied with Su Yaxi's answer. Her son did not like Liu Ziya. Yes, Su Yaxi was not the male supporting role in the plot who was gloomy and had a dark heart and yearned for the warmth of sunshine. Su Yaxi was raised by Su Qingni. Her eyes were definitely normal. She would not be attracted to a girl like Liu Ziya who is simple, kind and weak. Su Qingni played the game in Su Yaxi's office for more than 2 hours, helped Su Yaxi find several bugs, and pointed out some other problems. Su Yaxi hurriedly wrote them down one by one. The driver came to pick up Su Qingni, and Su Qingni followed the driver to leave. Before leaving, Su Qingni saw Quan Junayu and Liu Ziya standing together and talking, and a pink atmosphere emanated between the two. Su Yaxi's game was completed and started. The graphics of this game are more exquisite than those of all games on the market, the running speed is fast, the degree of excitement is strong, and the fighting is more diverse and gorgeous. This game is popular and very popular with players. The company soon made money, and Su Yaxi and Quan Junayu became role models among the young people in the upper class, and were good sons-in-law in the eyes of many people. Many families have contacted the whole family and Su Qingni, wanting their daughters to marry Su Yaxi and Quan Junayu. Su Qingni said that it was up to Su Yaxi to choose. She could let Su Yaxi meet these girls, but she didn't care whether Su Yaxi would like them. The whole family's parents were very excited, and chose the best ones from these girls, mainly the ones with the best family background, to have them go on blind dates with their sons. However, Quan Junayu refused and said that he had a girlfriend. The whole family's parents asked who the girl was. The result made them all angry. Their son actually fell in love with a cleaner. A woman who only graduated from high school. A woman whose family was so poor. What benefits could such a woman bring to his son? No benefits. No benefits to the whole family. Oppose. Oppose this woman marrying their son. The whole family's parents began to take action to break up Quan Junayu and Liu Ziya. Unfortunately, their actions didn't work at all, but instead promoted the relationship between the two. Quan's father threatened Quan Junayu with the family inheritance. Quan Junayu didn't care at all. He now has his own company with immeasurable prospects. Even if he didn't have the family inheritance, he didn't care. Quan's father, I suddenly regretted letting my son start a business. Quan's mother found Liu Ziya and threw a check to Liu Ziya, asking Liu Ziya to leave her son. Liu Ziya cried, the true love between me and Junayu can't be insulted by money. Su Qingni knew what Quan's mother did, and couldn't help complaining. If Liu Ziya really married Quan Junayu, would she still have no money? How can a small check be compared to a long-term meal ticket with golden light? Without Su Yaxi's participation, The love between Liu Ziya and Quan Junai did not go as smoothly as in the plot. Quan Junai hasn't helped Liu Ziya find her real family yet, and the vicious female supporting role who loves Quan Junai has attacked Liu Ziya. This time, without Su Yaxi to help the male and female protagonists block the bullet, Liu Ziya and Quan Junai were injured and were hit by a car and went to the hospital. Liu Ziya was protected by Quan Junai and was not seriously injured, but Quan Junai was seriously injured and one leg was disabled. The parents of the whole family resented Liu Ziya, but their son's leg was disabled, and there were fewer women willing to marry him. Moreover, their son had already recognized Liu Ziya, so the parents of the whole family had no choice but to reluctantly agree to the marriage of Quan Junai and Liu Ziya. Su Yaxi cared about Quan Junai as a friend, and Quan Junai was not very normal except for his love. In other aspects, he was good. Su Qingni did not object to Su Yaxi being friends with Quan Junai, so she reminded Su Yaxi indirectly and guided Su Yaxi to help Liu Ziya find her biological parents. Liu Ziya became the daughter of a wealthy family, and her family background was no worse than that of the whole family. Now, the reluctance of the parents of the whole family was eliminated, and they would not be so reluctant to hold an engagement ceremony for their son. Liu Ziya became a princess from Cinderella, married a prince, and lived a fairy tale life. However, without the teaching and influence from childhood to adulthood, Liu Ziya was incompatible with the upper class, could not help Quan Junai, and could not even do the wife's diplomacy well, so she could only stay at home as a golden bird. Such a person will never grow up in his life. When he was young, Quan Junai would still feel sorry for her. When he was older, would Quan Junai still be patient with a wife who could not help him? Su Yaxi met a girl at the wedding ceremony of her sister Su Yamai and Park Yuanji. The girl is also a staff member of the TV station. She is a news anchor. She is intellectual and elegant, self-reliant but not strong, and her nature is very virtuous. Su Yaxi fell in love with a girl at first sight, sent flowers to the girl every day to pursue her, and finally got the beauty back. Su Yaxi supported the girl to continue working in the TV station and have her own career after marriage, which touched the girl and she immediately agreed to Su Yaxi's proposal. The two were very happy after marriage and gave birth to a pair of twin sons. Su Qingni took care of the twins most of the time. Their parents were both career-oriented and developed their own careers very well. Su Yaxi's game company grew into one of the top 3 game companies in the world, and his wife became a well-known news anchor in the country. Su Yamai also had a successful career and family. In terms of career, she was a senior executive of the TV station. In terms of family, Su Yamai gave birth to a son and a daughter. The 2 children were not left to Su Qingni, and the Park family parents were very happy to take care of the grandchildren. During this period, Su Yamai and Su Yaxi's mother came back to find the 2, but both of them were very cold to them. They were already past the age of needing a mother. The woman wanted to remarry Su Qingni, but Su Qingni laughed and gave the woman a sum of money to send her away, asking her not to come and destroy the lives of the 2 children again, otherwise he would be rude to the woman. Su Qingni's strength scared the woman away, and she never appeared in front of the 3 people in the Su family again. Su Qingni left this world after raising her 2 grandsons to college. There are also gains in this world, a very small fragment of the ancestor which is true spirit, which is useless to take back to the Pingxin Niangniang. Su Qingni absorbed this piece of true spirit fragment herself and strengthened her own soul. Su Qingni rested for a while in the witch world. The witch world launched another game, which is a game with the theme of fighting for hegemony and power struggle. This game is very well made, and the intrigue in it makes Su Qingni feel very interesting. Unfortunately, the witch clan and the demon clan are all straightforward, and there are few twists and turns, so the number of people who can pass the level is very small. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 560 The Cannon Fodder Cousin Who Traveled Through Time and Space. After traveling through the New World, he came to ancient times again. This time he was still a man, but he was a teenager. The boy was only 13 years old. He caught a cold because he went to the river to catch fish in winter and died. Su Qingni gave the boy a little merit and sent him to reincarnate in the countryside. In fact, The boy's original fate would not have been to die so early, but there was one more time traveler in this world, which led to the change of the fate of many people around him. The boy was called Su Qingni, and he was the third child in the Su family. His father was also the third child among his brothers. Old man Su had 3 sons and 4 daughters, and it goes without saying that all 4 daughters were married. The eldest son, Su Lauda, and the second son, Su Lauer, were authentic farmers like old man Su, working on the farm at home. Su Lauda married Jin and had 2 sons and a daughter, named Su Qingni, Su Qingni and Su Qingxi. Su Lauer married Zheng and had 3 daughters, named Xia Xiang, Qiwen and Dongzhu. Because there were no sons, the second son's family had the lowest status in the Su family. The boy's father is the third son of old man Su. He was very smart when he was young and was sent to school by old man Su. He passed the examination for Tongshen at the age of 15 and passed the examination for Zhuke at the age of 20. He was the pride of the Su family. The status of Zhuke has made Su Laozhen look down on everyone in the village, but Su Laozhen is not satisfied with being a Zhuke and is determined to take the examination for Juren. After knowing that Juren can become an official and can make the family's fields tax-free, old man Su strongly supports his third son to take the examination for Juren. The whole family did their best to support Su Laozhen to study. Studying is very costly. The other people in the Su family have been working hard all year round, but their lives are very hard. But Su Laozhen was unlucky and failed to get the title for 3 consecutive times due to various accidents. They paid a lot but got no return, which made the 2 daughters-in-law Jin and Li dissatisfied. They didn't want their family to work hard to support Su Laozhen's family. They all thought that Su Laozhen had run out of talent, and they all wanted to separate the family and get rid of Su Laozhen's family. However, old man Su and old lady Su were still around. They didn't dare to mention the division of the family, but only dared to whisper in the men's ears, which made the eldest and second eldest Su feel relaxed. Their daughters spent the most time with them, and often listened to their complaints about the third eldest Su. They also felt that the third uncle's family was a blood-sucking worm of the Su family. The third eldest Su was only interested in reading the books of sages, and didn't know the dissatisfaction of the 2 pairs of brothers and sisters-in-law. He just wanted to pass the imperial examination and repay the whole family in the future. According to the original fate line, the third eldest Su would pass the imperial examination in 2 years, and then pass the imperial examination and become an official. The Su family became prosperous because of the third eldest Su, and the Su family would live a good life because of this. As the eldest son of the third eldest Su, the original owner's future was naturally bright. However, the arrival of a time traveler changed the original fate line. The time traveler became the second daughter of the second eldest Su, Su Qingni. This time traveler inherited Chu Wen's memory, and had read many farming stories about time-traveling village girls who got rid of their extremely bad relatives and brought their families to become rich and live a good life. He believed that Su Laosan was the extremely bad relative to be gotten rid of. Su Wen gave advice to Su Lauer and Zheng to make money. The couple had private money and ways to make money, and they wanted to separate the family even more. Su Wen secretly gave advice to her parents, and finally joined forces with Su Laoda to force Su Laohan and Su Laotai to separate the family. Su Wen knew that Su Laohan and Su Laotai would definitely subsidize Su Laosan secretly. She felt that the money of the Su family was earned by their first houses, and Su Laosan had never made any money and was not qualified to share the money. So the day before the separation, Su Wen secretly stole the money hidden by Su Laohan and Su Laotai. Su Laohan and Su Laotai had no money to subsidize their beloved third son, and Su Laosan's family could only take very little family property and be divided. Su Laosan only knows how to read, but doesn't know how to make money, and can't do farm work well. His wife, Li, is the daughter of a scholar. She is good at needlework, but she can't work in the fields. The family can't live for too long with the silver money obtained from the division of the family and the small money earned by Li from needlework. Life is getting worse and worse. As a last resort, Su Laosan's eldest son, Su Qingni, who was originally Su Qingni, had to shoulder the burden of the whole family and go to the city to work and earn money to support the family. But the boy was still young and didn't make much money, so the family still lived a hard life. When the new year came, the family couldn't even eat meat. The boy's younger brother, Su Qingxi, was young, and when he smelled the meat from the second room, he clamored for meat. The boy felt sorry for his younger brother, But he had no money to buy medicine, so he went to the river to catch fish and cooked it for his younger brother. But in the winter, it is easy to get cold in the water. The boy got sick, and the family had no money to buy medicine, and eventually the boy died of illness. The eldest son died so that the youngest son could eat a bite of meat. How could Li not blame the youngest son? She was depressed. Her health was not good to begin with, and she died of illness soon after. Su Laozhen lost his eldest son and wife in succession. He was very sad and hated himself, thinking that he was useless and killed them. He became decadent and did not participate in the next imperial examination. He died within 2 years. Only the youngest son was left, living in guilt all his life. Originally, his fate was to be the first top scholar in this dynasty to pass the 3 imperial examinations. Su Qingni sat up, crossed his legs and began to practice. Fortunately, this world can practice, not only martial arts, but also Zuimin exercises. Su Qingni simply merged the 2 forces together and created a method suitable for her own practice. This method can generate internal force in the body, and can also attract external spiritual energy, solar purple energy, and moonlight power into the body to practice into magic power. The magic power and internal force merge into Tai Chi and the Danshan. A small Tai Chi was formed in the body. After the transformation of the 2 forces, Su Qingni's body was no longer the same as when the original owner was here. The coldness in the body was also forced out, and the disease was naturally cured. There was a light noise outside the room. It was Li who got up to make breakfast. Li had to work until very late every night and got up early every morning. She had very little time to rest and did the most work. Her originally fragile body became worse. This was also the main reason why Li died of illness not long after the original owner died. Su Qingni quickly got up from the bed, put on her clothes, walked out of the room and came to the kitchen. "Mom, I'll help you." Li was burning the fire. When she heard Su Qingni's voice, she hurriedly raised her head and stood up, and said anxiously, "Why did you get up? Go back to bed quickly. It's cold now, and you're still sick. It's not good to be cold again." After that, she was about to push Su Qingni back to the room. Su Qingni held Li's hand, and her clear voice was not hoarse when she was sick. "Mom, my illness is cured. If you don't believe it, look." Chapter 561 The cannon fodder cousin who traveled through time and space as a village girl. Li looked at Su Qingni from head to toe in astonishment, and said in surprise, "Is she really healed? How come she got better so quickly?" Su Qingni leaned close to Li's ear and whispered, "Mom, I'll tell you a secret. Only you and I know the secret, and my dad and my brother can't let them know." Li was embarrassed. "It's not good to not let your dad know, right?" Su Qingni said, "My dad is devoted to studying. If he knew less and spent more time on books, he might pass the autumn examination in 2 years. As for Xiao Si, he is still too young to keep a secret." Li nodded and asked in a low voice, "Okay, Mom won't tell anyone." "Tell Mom quickly, what is the secret?" Su Qingni leaned close to Li's ear and said, "Son dreamed of a fairy last night. The fairy not only cured my son's illness, but also taught me skills." Li widened her eyes. With a look of disbelief on her face, she asked hesitantly, "Xiao-san, you didn't fall asleep, did you?" Hearing the name Xiao-san, Su Qingni's mouth twitched. She said, "Mom, my son really saw a fairy in his dream. If it wasn't a fairy, how could my son's illness be cured?" Li thought about it and realized that her son was so sick yesterday. He was dizzy with a fever. She was worried that her son would not be able to survive and would die of the illness. When she went to bed last night, she fell asleep with tears in her eyes. As a result, her son appeared in front of her in good health today. If it wasn't the fairy who cured her son, then what else could it be? Li was so happy and asked expectantly, "Did the fairy teach you any skills?" Su Qingni nodded. Li asked again expectantly, "What is your ability? Can you make money to support the family?" Su Qingni, "Mom, don't worry, your son will definitely make a lot of money to feed the whole family, so that you don't have to work hard anymore, and your brother can go to private school again." Li's tears flowed down when she heard it. "Xiao-san, my good son. It's all because of your mother and your father that you have to bear the burden of supporting the family at such a young age." Su Qingni hurriedly comforted Li. "Mom, don't say that. How could Dad be useless? Dad is very good at studying, he just had bad luck before. I believe that Dad will definitely pass the exam this autumn." Seeing Su Qingni's trust in Su Laosan, Li couldn't help asking, Did the gods tell you that your father could pass the exam? Let it be a god, so Li also had confidence in Su Laosan, and life would be more hopeful. Seeing Su Qingni nod, the gloom and decadence that had been suppressed in Li disappeared, and he was full of hope. Su Qingni smiled. When a person's spirit is good, his body can also get better. Mom, if you don't add more firewood, the fire will go out. Li ran back to the stove and added firewood. Su Qingni wanted to help make breakfast, but was stopped by Li. You are just getting well, you still need to rest more. I will leave the cooking to you. She pushed Su Qingni out of the kitchen. Even if you don't rest, you can practice the skills taught by the gods. Su Qingni saw Li's energetic appearance, smiled, and did not force it. She was pushed out of the kitchen by Li's force. Su Qingni walked into the yard, sat down facing the eastern sky, and continued to practice. When the sun rose from the east, a purple light spot was attracted by Su Qingni and entered her body. The purple light spot entered Su Qingni's Danshan, merged into the Tai Chi, and became the eyes of the sun yin fish. Su Qingni exhaled a long breath and stood up. The sky had become bright, and there were already people walking around in the village who had gone out early. Su Qingni saw Su Laoer's family driving a special ox cart out of the village. The three brothers of the Su family did not live together after the separation. The old house still belonged to Su Lao and Su Laote. As the eldest son, Su Laote had to support his parents, so they lived in the old house together. Su Laoer had money in his hands, and he built a big blue brick and tile house with his own money. It was better than the houses of other families in the village, which made the villagers envious. At this time, Su Laote and his wife, Su Lao and Su Laote knew that Su Laoer's family had hidden a lot of private money, and they were all very angry. Su Laote and his wife knew that they were used by Su Laoer's family, and they ran to Su Laoer's house to make a scene, but it was a pity that it was useless. Under the influence of the time-traveling girl, Su Laoer's family was a little bit ungrateful for money. Su Laosan's family did not have much money. The house they lived in was originally occupied by an old widow in the village. The old man did not survive last winter and died. He had no sons or daughters, and it was the villagers who helped him with his funeral. His house was very shabby, and no one in the village wanted to occupy it. After being vacant for half a year, it became even more shabby. Su Laosan spent a very low price to get the right to live in the house from the village chief. Su Qingni saw the time-traveling girl sitting on the ox cart. Compared with the two sisters, Su Qingni was as beautiful as a fairy, not like a village girl at all. Her appearance was also very different from the original Qingni. Although her facial features were still the same, they were much more delicate, as if the whole face had been beautified by P.S. Su Qingni gathered the power she had just cultivated in her eyes, and carefully examined Su Qingni, and found a bright red cinnabar mole on her wrist. Well, that was not a cinnabar mole, but a carrier of a portable space. Su Qingni probed into the space with her spiritual consciousness and found that it was only 20 square meters in size, but there was a spring in the middle, and spiritual springs would seep out of it. The effect of this spiritual spring is useless for practitioners, but it is very useful for ordinary people. This spiritual spring water can make people healthy and has beauty effects. However, the amount of spiritual water that seeps out of this spiritual spring every day is not much, and it can only be drunk by one person. So Su Qingni became more and more beautiful, and her health became better and better, but her parents and two sisters remained the same as before. Su Qingni couldn't help but be curious. Su Qingni had changed so much, but Su Laoer and his wife, Su Xiaxiang and Su Dongsu didn't doubt her? Maybe they really doubted her, but they kept silent in the face of interests. Su Qingni retracted her side and returned to the house. At this time, Su Laosan and Su Qingshi both got up. Su Qingshi originally lived in the same room with Su Qingni, but because the original body was sick and didn't want to infect his younger brother, he let Su Qingshi sleep in the same room with his parents. Su Qingshi has always been concerned about his brother's illness. The first thing he did after getting up was to run to Su Qingshin's room to see if his brother was better. As a result, the child didn't see anyone and cried in fear. "Don't cry, your brother is here." Su Qingni walked over to comfort the child. Chapter 562 The cannon fodder cousin who traveled through time and space as a village girl. Seeing his brother appearing in front of him in good health, the child stopped crying and smiled. "Brother, are you well?" "Yes, my brother is well." Su Qingni touched the child's head and said to him, "Go wash your face quickly, your snot and tears are coming out, it's so dirty." The child's face turned red. As a child of a scholar, He was different from ordinary farmers. He was taught to understand etiquette and pay attention to his appearance since he was a child. Therefore, the child is always clean, unlike other children who play in the mud. Now that his brother said he was dirty, the child was so embarrassed that he ran to the kitchen to ask his mother for hot water to wash his face. Su Laozhen heard the crying of his youngest son and thought that his eldest son was not well. He came out of the house worriedly. Seeing that his eldest son was fine, he breathed a sigh of relief. Although Su Laozhen was raised by his eldest son, he did not look like a good father. But he actually loved his two children very much and was very good to them. He would teach his two children to read and write after reading. Although the original body had never been to school, he had learned 300,000 in the Analects under the guidance of Su Laosan. The original body was able to find a job thanks to his literacy. Otherwise, it would be difficult for the original body to make money at such a young age and with such a thin body. It's good that you're well. Su Laosan said with relief, don't go fishing in the winter. The book of filial piety says, the body and hair are received from parents. Don't dare to damage them. This is the beginning of filial piety. If you are filial, don't do such things that hurt your body. Your mother and I are worried. The child will remember the teachings of his father. Su Qingni responded obediently. Li came out with a large bowl of porridge and said, don't teach the child so early in the morning. Go wash up and have breakfast. Su Laosan respected his wife very much and obediently went to find his youngest son to wash up together. Su Qingni went to the kitchen to help Li bring out the side dishes and bowls and chopsticks for eating. The side dishes were mixed wild vegetables with only a little salt and ginger, and the porridge was very thin porridge made from brown rice. Such a breakfast could only fill the stomach with water, and I would be hungry after going to the toilet twice. However, there was not much food at home, so this was the only way to eat. Su Qingni drank a bowl of porridge and stopped. Li asked with concern, why don't you drink it? Are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere else? Can't eat. Su Qingni shook her head and said, I'm full. Mom, I'm in good health, nothing's wrong. After saying that, she gave Li a look. Li thought that her eldest son had seen a fairy yesterday, and it should be that the fairy gave her eldest son something good to eat, so her eldest son was not hungry. Li was relieved and stopped urging Su Qingni to drink porridge, but shared the second bowl of porridge that belonged to Su Qingni with her husband and youngest son. Su Laozhen and Su Qingxi originally didn't want it, but Li and Su Qingni asked them to drink porridge. They looked at the mother and son who seemed to have a secret, and obediently shared a bowl of porridge. Maybe the wife-mother cooked a special meal for the eldest son brother. Su Laozhen and Su Qingxi thought so, but they were not jealous or angry at all. The eldest son brother was seriously ill, so it was normal for the wife-mother to cook a special meal for him. The eldest son brother would recover after eating and resting. Very good and cost-effective. After breakfast, Su Qingni packed up and went out. She wanted to go to the county town to make money to support the family. Li and Su Laozhen both thought that he had just recovered from his illness and asked him to rest at home for a day, but Su Qingni insisted on going out. Are you kidding? The food at home is almost gone. If we don't make money to buy food, what will we eat later? Su Qingni left the village and walked towards the county town. The village is more than 10 miles away from the county town. It was not a market day, and there were no villagers in the surrounding area going into the city. Therefore, there was no ox cart on the road that could be taken for a while. Su Qingni could only rely on bus number 11. Fortunately, she now has strength in her body, and her body is much better than the original owner. After more than 10 miles, Su Qingni walked easily and arrived at a county town in less than half an hour. But how to make money? Like the original owner, do odd jobs for others? Pass. The money earned is too little? Do hard labor? Pass. The money earned is also small, and it is hard. Selling food, making soap? These all require capital, and she has no money at all. Selling recipes, selling stories? This kind of thing has been done by the time-traveling heroine. She made her first pot of gold by selling recipes. The shopkeepers of the county restaurant all know Su Qingni. If she also sells recipes and stories, Su Qingni will definitely know, and it may bring trouble to herself. At the current stage, Su Qingni wants her family to develop in a wretched manner and doesn't want trouble to come to her. Su Qingni has a lot of ways to make money in her mind, but any use of them will be discovered by Su Qingni, the time traveler. Su Qingni is not afraid of Su Qingni, but hates Su Qingni jumping in front of her. So, what method can be used to make money? How about robbing the rich and helping the poor? Pass. There are martial arts in this world, and I have only just started practicing. With my current skills, what if I get caught before I succeed? Su Qingni scratched her head. Oh my god, why is this world the ancient world, not the modern world? It is so easy to make money in the modern world. As long as she sits in front of the computer for an hour, she can earn more than 7 figures. Su Qingni was worrying about it when she saw a middle-aged fat man in a brocade robe walking past her with a look of despair on his face. Su Qingni looked at the fat man twice more, and her eyes stayed on his face for more than 2 seconds. An idea to make money came to her mind. Su Qingni trotted to catch up with the fat man and said, "Sir, you are worried about your offspring." The fat man raised his head and stared at Su Qingni angrily. Su Qingni touched his pain. How could he not be angry? Just as he was about to explode, Su Qingni rushed to speak. "My lord, you actually still have a descendant living in this world." The fat man's anger was extinguished at once, and he grabbed Su Qingni's arm and asked, "Where is my son? Where is my son?" Su Qingni pulled her arm out of the fat man's hand, smiled and spread out her palm. The fat man didn't understand what he meant for a moment. Su Qingni stretched her palm a little closer in front of him. The fat man suddenly realized, took out a small piece of silver from his purse and put it in Su Qingni's palm. Su Qingni did not take her hand back, and asked the fat man, "Master, is the descendant who inherits the incense more important, or is a little money more important?" Of course, the descendant is more important, and the fat man is not short of money. But he didn't want to give the money to the liar in vain. "If you cheat this master will never let you go," the fat man said viciously. This master is the brother-in-law of the county master. Chapter 563 The cannon fodder cousin who traveled through time and space with a village girl. The county magistrate's brother-in-law was very eager to have an heir. Although he suspected Su Qingni was a liar, he still took out a 50 Liang silver note from his purse and handed it to Su Qingni. "Now you can tell me." Su Qingni put the silver note and the 2 cents of silver into her arms with satisfaction, and said to the county magistrate's brother-in-law, "You go out of the south gate, walk 5 miles along the official road, and then walk 10 miles west. There should be another village. Your only living heir is in that village. My sons are all dead, how can there be living heirs?" The county magistrate's brother-in-law said angrily, and he was sure that the man in front of him was a liar and was trying to trick him. "Why don't you go to that village to confirm it yourself? Then you will know whether I have deceived you or not." Su Qingni left this sentence and ran away quickly. The county magistrate's brother-in-law was left standing there with a changing face. Finally, he waved to stop a carriage and went out of the city. Su Qingni took the silver note to the bank to exchange for silver, and started buying with the silver. "There is no food at home, buy some." Only 1/3 of the coarse grains were bought, and the remaining 2/3 were all fine grains. If it were not for the modern nutrition theory that coarse grains are good for health, Su Qingni would have bought all fine grains. After selling the grain, she bought salt, sugar, soy sauce, vinegar, tea. Su Qingni bought some of everything in the grocery store. Then she bought cloth and cotton. Everyone in the family should make new clothes. It is best to make them thicker. The weather will be colder in late winter and early spring, so you have to wear thicker clothes. Finally, she went to the meat stall to buy meat. The younger brother had been craving for meat for a long time. Before, the original body went to the river to fish for his younger brother, but he caught a cold and didn't catch a single fish. The child still didn't eat a bite of meat. The family of Su Laozen hasn't eaten a bite of meat since the family split up. Su Qingni bought too many things, so she had to rent a carriage and ask someone to help her transport the things back home. The carriage passed by a snack stall. Su Qingni saw the busy family of Su Laoer and pretended not to see it. Su Laoer's family really didn't see Su Qingni. They never thought that Su Qingni, who was so poor that she couldn't even afford food, would ride in a carriage and buy so many things. Su Qingni returned to the village and moved all the things she bought back home. The amount scared Su Laozen so much that he couldn't sit still. He put down his book and walked out, pulling Su Qingni and asked, "Pingxin, where did you get so much money?" Su Qingni replied, "I earned it." "Earned? How did you make so much money? Did you do something bad?" Su Laozen asked worriedly. Seeing that Li was also worried, Su Qingni smiled at her, which made Li feel at ease. Then she turned to Su Laozen and said, "Dad, I sold some very useful information to a rich man today, and he gave me more than 50 taels of silver." 50. Su Laozhen took a breath and became even more worried. Who did you meet? What information did you sell? Is it dangerous? Dad, don't worry, it's okay. Su Qingni comforted Su Laozhen. It's like this, the son of the county magistrate's brother-in-law died in an accident. He also has health problems, so he won't have children in the future. Coincidentally, I knew that the county magistrate's brother-in-law had a child living outside, so I told the county magistrate's brother-in-law the news. The county magistrate's brother-in-law was very happy and rewarded me with 50 taels of silver. Su Qingni took out 3 10 silver ingots and 1 5 silver ingot from her bosom and placed them on the table. I bought so many things, and there is still this silver left. Dad and Mom keep it. 5 liang is for the family's daily consumption in the future, and 30 liang is saved for Dad's travel expenses for the autumn imperial examination. When Su Laozhen heard about Su Qingni's source of money, his heart returned to its original place. Seeing the silver on the table, Su Laozhen and Li were very happy. With so much money, they don't have to worry about their family's life in the future. Su Laozhen was even happier. He thought he would have to ask others to borrow money for travel expenses. But if he went to borrow, others might not lend it to him. Mother, you quickly put the silver money away. Su Laozhen ordered Li. Hey. Li quickly wrapped the silver bag tightly with cloth, took it back to the bedroom, and didn't know where to hide it. Su Qingni drooled at the meat and bones on the table. Su Qingni patted him on the back, picked up a piece of pork belly, and said to the child, help your brother light the fire, and your brother will make you braised pork. The child slurped his saliva and said, okay. The meal was ready. Li served a bowl of meat and asked Su Qingni to take it to the old house for the old man Su and his wife. Today, the carriage arrived at their door. Many people in the village saw it and knew that the third family of Su Lao had bought a lot of things. The third family of Su Lao must take out a part of it to honor the old man Su and his wife. Su Qingni held the bowl in one hand and a bag of 5 pounds of flour in the other hand and went to the old house. In the past, when people from the third family of Su Lao went to the old house, Jin rolled her eyes when she saw them. Now when Jin saw Su Qingni, her face was full of smiles. Xiao-san is here, come in quickly, come in quickly. Su Qingni handed the bowl of braised pork to Jin, and, this is braised pork, you take it and heat it up, so that grandparents, uncle, cousins and sisters can have a bite. Okay. Jin happily took the braised pork and walked into the kitchen. Although she was envious of the things in the other bag in Su Qingni's hand, she thought that the 2 old guys valued their eldest and second grandsons very much. The things were given to the 2 old guys, and in the end they would still be given to her 2 sons. When Su Qingni entered the door, her cousins greeted her with a very warm attitude, all because of the meat. Normally, they don't have such a good attitude. Because Su Lao Dai and Jin were dissatisfied with Su Lao San, the children below were also affected. Su Lao Dai was not at home, and I don't know where he went. Su Lao Han and Su Lao Tai were very happy to see Su Qingni. They were partial to Su Lao San, and they also liked Su Lao San's 2 children in their hearts. However, because they will rely on their eldest son and grandson for their retirement in the future, they value their grandson more. Xiao-san, come here quickly, come here quickly. Old lady Su called Su Qingni to her side, reached out and touched Su Qingni's face, and said lovingly, you've lost weight, and lost weight again. As she spoke, she quietly put a few copper coins into Su Qingni's hand. Su Qingni put the copper coins into her sleeves calmly. These copper coins are the gift from the old man and the old lady. It's unknown how long they have accumulated these copper coins. After all, their savings were either divided among the 3 sons or stolen by Su Qirwan. Su Qingni was very ashamed of Su Qirwan's behavior. Even if the 2 old people were partial, she couldn't steal money, and she also stole other people's coffins. This character is just not good. Chapter 564 The cannon fodder cousin who traveled through time as a village girl. Su Qingni handed the bag of flour to old lady Su and said, Grandfather, grandmother, there are 5 pounds of fine flour in it, keep it. Whenever you want to change your taste, take it out and eat it. Okay, okay. Old lady Su happily took the flour, ran back to her old man's bedroom, and locked the flour up. This is the intention of the 3rd son and the 3rd grandson, and it can't be wasted by the eldest son's wife. Old man Su asked worriedly, where do you have the money to buy flour? I heard that you bought a cart of things today. Where did the money come from? Su Qingni smiled and said, Grandfather, don't worry, The money for buying things came in a formal way. It was when my grandson went to the city today that he met a nobleman and helped the nobleman. The nobleman gave my grandson a few taels of silver as a reward. Is that so? That's good, that's good. Old man Su was relieved. The two brothers of the Su family and Su Qingni were envious and jealous, and even Jin in the kitchen gritted her teeth and wondered why it was not herself who met the nobleman. Su Qingni talked with the two for a while and left. Jin didn't cook her meals, and she wouldn't keep her for dinner. In addition to the old house, when she met a few villagers on the road, Su Qingni used the excuse that she had helped a nobleman and received a reward, which made the villagers envious, but they didn't have any bad thoughts. Su Laoer's family returned to the village at this time. When they heard that Su Qingni had been rewarded by a nobleman, Su Laoer and Zhang sneered. But a reward once, what's so great? When they were doing business, they had encountered rewards from rich people several times. Su Qingni felt that it was a bargain for Su Laozen's family. A family that didn't produce anything could actually step on dog shit. But it was only this time, and she didn't believe they could step on dog shit again. This family didn't have any plans at all, and they spent all their money. When everything was used up, they had no money left. What would they do? She knew that if Su Laozen wanted to participate in the autumn examination, he had to go to the provincial capital. At that time, a series of expenses such as travel expenses and accommodation expenses were a considerable expense. Could Su Laozen's family come up with so much money? At that time, they would definitely ask someone to borrow money. Given her mother's character, she would definitely not lend money to Su Laosan. Her aunt would definitely not lend money either. She had stolen all the private money of the two old things. Haha, would Su Laosan be able to collect enough money to attend the autumn examination? It would be better if he could not. He had no ability to begin with, and he would not pass the examination. It would be better not to take the examination in the first place. Su Qingni despised the kind of people who thought they were superior to others after studying for a few years, and who spent all the family money on studying and did not work and squandered the family wealth. She hated the so-called hypocrisy even more. There were such people in many ancient farming texts she had seen, so she regarded Su Laosan as such. She was not stingy in thinking of Su Laosan with the greatest malice, and even claimed to be a righteous person, who wanted to bring Su Laosan down to the dust and abuse people like Su Laosan. Su Qingni felt a strong malice, turned her head and looked over, and met Su Qingni's eyes, seeing the expression of superiority and self-proclaimed judge in her eyes. Su Qingni met more people, and she could see through Su Qingni's thoughts at once. Su Qingni felt disgusted with this time traveler. Self-righteous, arrogant, stealing the coffin book of the old man, suppressing the relatives of the original body. How could God let such a tasteless woman travel through time? Su Qingni looked up at the sky, retracted her gaze, and returned to her home. Su Laozen's house was too shabby, and Su Qingni wanted to find someone to repair it before the spring plowing. Su Qingni told Su Laozen and Li about this matter. Su Laozen said, "Take out 10 taels of the 30 taels of silver and build a new house. This house is too old and does not need to be repaired." Li hurriedly said, "No, that's the cost of your trip to the provincial capital to take the exam." Su Laozen said, 20 taels of silver will be enough for me to go to the provincial capital to take the exam." Su Qingni said disapprovingly, "A poor family can be rich on the road. You should carry more money with you. The cost of living in the provincial capital is higher than that in the county town. Accommodation alone is a considerable expense." Su Laozen said, "Accommodation will cost a lot of money." Su Qingni looked at Su Laozen with a clear look. "Dad, you want to live in those big bunk beds, right? Those who live in the big bunk beds are all rough people. They are dirty and smelly, and they snore at night. Can Dad rest well? The reason why you failed the exams in the previous few times must be that you didn't rest well, right? Dad should take a little more money and open a room specifically for you. You can have a good rest at night so that you can have the energy to answer the exams." Li nodded repeatedly after hearing this and said, "Zio-san is right, we can't save this money." Su Qingni was already immune to the title of Zio-san and continued, "And when Dad passes the exam, he will give a reward to the person who brings the good news. If you don't carry more money with you, how can you reward the person who brings the good news? You can't let the person who brings the good news say that you are stingy, right? But if I take all the money with me, I will have no money to build a new house." Su Laosan said, "Now this house is still habitable, just repair it." Su Qingni said, "When you pass the imperial examination, and then go to Beijing to take the imperial examination, and then you are selected as an official to serve in other places. Our family will follow you. We will not be back to the village for a long time, and it would be a waste to build a new house." Su Laozhen couldn't help laughing. "You have confidence in me?" Su Qingni nodded. "Of course, you are my father. I know how good my father's literary talent is. It was bad luck that he didn't pass the imperial examination the last few times. This time, I think my luck is here, and you will definitely pass the exam." Su Laozhen was happy to hear this. "Then I will borrow your good words." After deciding to repair the house, the family began to eat dinner. The fragrant braised pork made the family of four eat with oil in their mouths, and Su Qingxi's belly was swollen. After dinner, Li washed the dishes. Su Qingni chopped the big bones she bought into pieces and threw them into the pot to make soup. There was a small fire burning in the stove. By the next morning, the bone soup was ready to drink. Su Qingni recovered from her illness, so Su Qingxi naturally returned to their shared room and slept in the same bed with Su Qingni. Su Qingni waited for the child to fall asleep, then got up and sat by the window, and began to absorb the moonlight for convergence. The moonlight absorbed into the body entered Su Qingni's danshan and flowed into the eyes of the yang fish of the Tai Chi yin yang fish. The next morning, Su Qingni absorbed the purple energy of the sun and went into the kitchen to help Li knead the flour. Eating bone soup noodles in the morning made the family of four full again. Su Qingni left the village and went to the county town. Today, there was no need to rush to the county town to find ways to make money, so Su Qingni did not rush on the road like yesterday, but walked more leisurely. When they arrived in the county town, more than half an hour had passed. It was already late, and the county town had become lively. Chapter 565 The cannon fodder cousin who traveled through time and space to become a village girl. Su Qingni walked around the county town. She had already thought of ways to make money yesterday. She came to the area where the rich people lived in the county town, picked up a random person, and asked about the situation of the county master's brother-in-law's family. The person she grabbed was a gossiper, and immediately told all the situations of the county master's brother-in-law's family. There was a jealous woman in the county master's brother-in-law's family, who persecuted the county master's brother-in-law's concubines in various ways. This led to the county master's brother-in-law being over 40 years old, but only having one child born by the first wife. Perhaps the mother's sins were too much and the retribution fell on her child. The child died of illness a month ago. Although the county master's brother-in-law was very sad, in order to have blood and incense to pass on, he took in 2 young concubines to give birth to sons for him. As a result, the jealous wife took action again, causing a concubine to fall into the pond and almost drown. The county master's brother-in-law invited a doctor to treat his concubine. By the way, the county master's brother-in-law felt that he was not feeling well recently, so he asked the doctor to treat himself as well. As a result, the diagnosis was not a big deal. It turned out that the county master's brother-in-law was given a sterilization drug and lost the ability to give birth to women. No wonder there are many women in the county master's brother-in-law's family, but only one child was born by the eldest wife. The county master's brother-in-law was furious. Who could give him a sterilization drug? No one else except the jealous wife. Although the eldest wife of the county master's brother-in-law has a good family background and the family can make decisions for her when there are things, who can be higher than the county master? And the eldest wife was wrong in this matter. The county master's brother-in-law wanted to divorce his wife, and the eldest wife's family had no complaints. Instead, they complained that the eldest wife was too vicious, ruined the reputation of her family, and implicated the girls in the family. After the eldest wife returned to her parents' home, she was driven out of the house by her family. The eldest wife left the county with the silver money exchanged for the dowry, and no one knew where she went. The county master's brother-in-law lost his son, and his whole life was hopeless, so pitiful. But who would have thought that there would be a sudden turn of events? Yesterday, when the county master's brother-in-law was walking outside, he met an expert who told him that he still had his son alive and instructed him to go to a certain place to find him. The county master's brother-in-law was skeptical, but his desire for his son made him do as he was told. He followed the expert's instructions and went out of the city gate, but went to a village outside the city, where he found a boy who looked very much like him. The county master's brother-in-law met the boy's mother again and finally knew what was going on. The boy's biological mother was the county master's brother-in-law's maid. She had served the county master's brother-in-law several times and was very much liked by the county master's brother-in-law, who wanted to promote her to concubine. The jealous wife was jealous, and took advantage of the county master's brother-in-law's absence to deal with the maid and married her to a widower in the countryside. When the maid was forced to marry, she was already pregnant with the county magistrate's brother-in-law's seed, and later gave birth to this boy. The county magistrate's brother-in-law confirmed that the boy was his son, gave the maid and her current husband a sum of money, and took the boy home. The county magistrate's brother-in-law was very happy. Today he would open the ancestral hall to put the boy on the family tree and let him recognize his ancestors. Tomorrow he would hold a big banquet and invite all the people of status in the county to his house to witness the return of his son. After listening to the gossip of this person, Su Qingni stuffed a few copper coins into him and turned away. The cause and effect between her and the county magistrate's brother-in-law was settled, and there was no need to pay attention to it anymore. Su Qingni walked around the street for a few more laps. She had bought everything she wanted to buy yesterday. Su Qingni didn't want to buy anything, so she turned around and walked out of the city gate and went to a Taoist temple outside the city. The Taoist temple is located on a low mountain. It is not big. In addition to Wang Lingwen, who is enshrined at the mountain gate, there are only two halls, namely Sanking Hall and Yuhuang Hall, and on both sides are the living rooms and dining halls. There are 5 Taoists in the Taoist temple, who take care of it. The incense is not good but not bad either, enough to support the Taoist temple to hold 2 or 3 rituals every year. Su Qingni came to the Taoist temple, worshipped the gods and burned incense, donated a few copper coins for merit, and then found the old Taoist in the Taoist temple and asked to buy a Taoist robe and a whisk. The old Taoist didn't want to sell it at first, so Su Qingni took out 5 taels of silver and put it in front of the old Taoist. The old Taoist immediately asked the little Taoist boy to get a newly made Taoist robe and a whisk and gave them to Su Qingni. Su Qingni took the new Taoist robe and whisk home, found Li, and asked Li to cut a strand of hair for her. Li was puzzled. "What do you want your hair for?" Su Qingni, "To make a beard." Li. Su Qingni, "The gods taught me the skill of fortune telling, and I want to make money with this skill. But I am too young, with no hair on my mouth, and I am not reliable. No one will believe my ability. I just want to pretend to be an old Taoist priest, so that people will come to tell their fortunes. Is this okay?" Li felt that this was unreliable. Su Qingni said, "Just look at my skills." Li cut off a strand of hair with suspicion and gave it to Su Qingni. Su Qingni made the hair into 2 parts of a beard. One part was a mustache above the lips, and the other part was a goatee on the chin. She took out the charred charcoal and flour and scratched it on her face, then put on a beard and a Taoist robe. Li was dumbfounded. Was this middle-aged Taoist priest really her son who was less than 15 years old? It was amazing. Was this also a skill taught by the gods? Su Qingni flicked her whisk and bowed to Li. "Madam, I am honored." Li stared at Su Qingni in surprise and said, "Zio-san, if I hadn't seen you dressed up with my own eyes, I really wouldn't have dared to recognize you as my son." Su Qingni smiled. "Mom can't recognize me, and others certainly can't recognize me either. This will save a lot of trouble." Li was smart and understood what Su Qingni meant at once. Li nodded and praised, "My son is smart." Su Qingni smiled. "Mom, fortune-telling is a secret between us." Li replied, "Don't worry, Mom won't tell anyone. Your father and your brother won't tell either." Su Qingni smiled, "When I make enough money, I won't dress up like this. It's best if my father and brother don't know, so that they don't have to worry." Li sighed with pity, "Good child, this family is thanks to you." On the 3rd day, Su Qingni went out without eating breakfast. She carried a small package with her clothes for dressing up. When they were halfway through the journey and came to a more remote place, Su Qingni quickly dressed up. When she returned to the official road, she was a Taoist priest with an immortal demeanor. Chapter 566, The cannon fodder cousin who traveled through time as a village girl. Su Qingni dressed up as a Taoist priest walked into the county town, went to the cloth shop to buy a piece of white cloth, borrowed a pen and ink from the shopkeeper, and wrote 4 big characters on the white cloth, iron mouth and straightforward. On the side, he wrote a line of small characters, 3 divinations a day, only those who are destined to be together are counted. The shopkeeper and the waiter looked at Su Qingni as if she were a charlatan. This one looked like a fairy, but he didn't expect that the 4 swindlers would buy and make their clothes on the spot. Su Qingni didn't care what Zheng Zheng and the waiter thought, and walked out of the cloth shop with a white cloth banner that she could tell the truth. Su Qingni walked slowly on the street, and everyone she met along the way looked at Su Qingni with surprise and reverence. The main reason was that Su Qingni's fairy-like appearance was too deceptive. These passers-by were not like the shopkeeper and the waiter who saw Su Qingni preparing her clothes with their own eyes, so they would not regard her as a liar, but only thought that she was really a master. But they didn't come forward to greet Su Qingni or patronize her business. These people had nothing to tell, and Su Qingni looked so high class that the cost of a fortune teller must be high. They couldn't afford the fortune teller's fee. Su Qingni walked through most of the county and came to the busiest street. She found a tea shop and sat at an open-air table. She asked the shop owner to bring her a pot of tea and drank the tea leisurely. She was not in a hurry, really not in a hurry. Fortune-telling is a business that doesn't open for 3 years, but can only make money for 3 years after opening. Opposite the tea shop was the snack stand of Su Laoer's family. Su Qingni watched their family doing business openly, but they didn't recognize Su Qingni. Su Laoer's snack stand mainly sold 2 kinds of food, oden and egg cake. Su Qingni didn't have much interest in oden, but she wanted to eat egg cake. In her most previous life, Su Qingni went on a business trip to the Bashu area and ate the local specialty snack egg cake. She remembered this delicious food at that time. Later, she traveled through time and visited many modern worlds, and also traveled to the Bashu area to eat egg cake. Su Qingni herself thought that this kind of egg cake was more delicious than cake. Su Qingni called the waiter of the tea shop, gave him a handful of copper coins, and asked him to help her buy some egg cakes to eat. She wanted to try it. The egg cake made by Su Qingni was authentic. The waiter went to buy egg cakes for Su Qingni very attentively. There were only 3 flavors, and the waiter bought them all. Su Qingni picked up a piece of brown sugar-flavored egg cake and took a bite. It was far from the authentic egg cake. Su Qingni took a bite and stopped eating. She wrapped the egg cake with oil paper and put it in her arms, and took it home for Su Qingni to eat. She tilted her head slightly and glanced coldly in the direction of the snack stand. Su Qingni, who had been observing Su Qingni, quickly retracted his gaze. Su Qingni sneered and didn't look at Su Laoer's family again. "You, a Taoist priest, can you really make a straight judgment?" An arrogant voice sounded beside her ear. Su Qingni looked up and saw 3 people standing not far away. 2 lackeys and their master. Their master is a young man with his nose in the air. That image reminds Su Qingni of Zhu Pan, the Del bully. "Not bad," Su Qingni said lightly. "This is a big fat sheep, and you can fleece it as much as you want. Then tell me a fortune." The young man walked to Su Qingni and sat down, saying arrogantly, "To relieve my boredom." Su Qingni stretched out a hand and spread it in front of the young man. "What?" the young man asked in confusion. "Su Qingni, for fortune-telling. You haven't told me yet. Give me the money first and then tell me the fortune." "I gave you the money, what if you can't tell me the fortune?" "Return the full amount. Not only do you have to pay back the money, I have to beat you up to punish you for wasting my time. Give me the money." "How much is it?" 10 taels of silver for a fortune-telling." "So expensive," the young man exclaimed. Although he is not short of money, he is not a sucker. 10 taels of silver for a fortune-telling is too expensive. Other fortune-tellers only charge 10 cents for a fortune. Su Qingni took back her hand and said indifferently, "Then go find those people to help you." "Young man." This Taoist priest looked like a cold and superior person, and the difference between him and those fortune-tellers who were like liars was like the difference between a crow in the sky and a dog on the ground. In this way, it should be normal to be a little more expensive. The young man took out a silver ingot and threw it on the table. "Go ahead. If you can't tell me, I'll take down your sign." Su Qingni took the silver ingot and put it back in her sleeve. She looked at the young man's face carefully and said, "You'd better stay at home today and don't go to the brothel to drink. Otherwise, you will lose your life at the worst, or lose your hands and feet at the least. You dare to curse me." The young man was angry and slapped the table, which made his palm numb. The young man became even angrier and said to the 2 lackeys, "Why are you still standing there? Beat him up for me." The 2 lackeys immediately rushed towards Su Qingni. The tea shop owner, the staff and other people around were all worried about Su Qingni. Some people sympathized with Su Qingni and whispered, "This Taoist must be from outside. He actually provoked the Dai Bar Wang. He's going to be in trouble." In fact, it was beyond everyone's expectations. The two lackeys rushed towards Su Qingni, but they were slapped away before they could even stand on the corner of her clothes. Everyone was stunned. A master. This Taoist is indeed a master. Even if he is not accurate in fortune-telling, he is still a martial arts master who is not worthy of ordinary people like them. The young man was trembling with fear. Although he was domineering in the county, he was not unaware that there were many powerful people in the world who he and his family could not afford to offend. The Taoist in front of him was such a master. If he offended the master, would he break his legs? Su Qingni was not angry, but said to the young man, "I have given you the hexagram. Whether you believe it or not is your own business. We have settled the money and goods, and you can leave." You let me go?" the young man asked nervously. Su Qingni said, "I'm doing business with you. After the business is done, it's natural for me to let you leave." "What? You don't want to leave?" No, I'll leave right away." The young man hurriedly ran away with his lackeys. Under the awe-inspiring eyes of everyone, Su Qingni drank the tea in the cup, put down the money, and left the county town leisurely. Su Qingni stared at Su Qingni's back with a tangled look. She thought she had traveled to a farming novel to make a fortune with her whole family, but she didn't expect that the farming novel turned into a martial arts novel. What should she do? Should she continue to follow the farming route, or seize the opportunity to worship this Taoist priest as her teacher, learn kung fu, and dominate the world? Su Qingni was still struggling with which path to choose, but the Taoist priest's back had disappeared. She didn't have to choose. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 567, The Cannon Fodder Cousin Who Traveled Through Time and Space to Become a Village Girl. Su Qingni went home and gave Li 10 taels of silver. Li was surprised. "Is it so easy to make money?" Su Qingni smiled. "If you have the ability, you can make money naturally." Li happily and at ease put the silver away. Su Qingni gave the egg cake to her younger brother to eat, and her younger brother ate it happily. Li was surprised. "Is this the egg cake made by the second room?" Su Qingni hummed and said, "I think they are doing a good job, so I patronize their business." Li whispered, "They didn't recognize you." Su Qingni smiled, "You can't recognize me after dressing up, let alone them." Li also smiled. Yes. Her son's dress-up was simply magical, and he was completely changed. Su Qingni was not a child who ate alone. He only ate one egg cake and left the rest to Su Laozhen, Li and Su Qingni. Su Qingni ate the egg cake that she had taken a bite of. Su Laozhen ate one egg cake, Li gave half of it, and gave the remaining half to Su Qingni. For dinner, we had dumplings made by Li, which were made with the lard residue and vegetables. They were very fragrant. Originally, Li wanted to save the lard residue and add it to the dishes later so that the family could taste a little meat. But Su Qingni brought her another 10 taels of silver. With money and confidence, she made dumplings with all the lard residue at once. At dawn, Su Qingni dressed up again and went to the county town, holding her signature white cloth banner. She went out very late today and did not walk fast. It was noon when she arrived at the county town. Su Qingni first went to a stall selling wontons, ordered a bowl of wontons, and ate it slowly. Halfway through the meal, the table where she was sitting was surrounded by people. Su Qingni looked up and saw a flattering smile. Su Qingni raised her eyebrows and said, "Did the divination I told yesterday come true?" "It came true. It came true." The visitor nodded repeatedly. It was the young man who asked Su Qingni to tell her fortune yesterday. This young man was frightened by Su Qingni's fighting ability yesterday, and ran back home directly, not even going to the brothel. As a result, a fight broke out in the brothel last night. Two gangsters fought for the brothel's courtesan. Many customers were affected and suffered serious or minor injuries. The seriously injured one almost died, and another unlucky guy's right hand was cut off. When the young man heard the news, he thought of the fortune-telling Su Qingni had given him. If he had not been frightened by Su Qingni yesterday, and had gone to the brothel last night, then wouldn't the Taoist's words come true, and he would have lost his life at the worst, or had his hands and feet broken at the least? The young man was so scared, and he was sure that Su Qingni was a real master. The young man's elders and relatives were also scared. When they heard the news, they were worried that their little cubs would also suffer. You know, Their little cubs regarded the brothel as their second home and would go to the brothel almost every night. As a result, these people found that their son was staying at home well, in good health, and not hurt at all. They were relieved and were in a mood to ask how their son escaped from the fight between the heroes of the Jianghu. As a result, their son said that it was because he did not go to the brothel. When asked why he did not go to the brothel, it was because their son met a fortune-teller Taoist priest, who was also a Taoist priest who knew martial arts. He told their son a fortune and told him not to go to the brothel, thus avoiding the disaster. The young man's family was surprised and lamented that their son was lucky. This was to meet a real master. The next day, the young man's father forced his son to go out and took him to find the master Taoist priest. He did not find the master Taoist priest at the tea stall, but was lucky enough to see the Taoist priest at the wonton stall. The young man hurriedly brought his father to thank Su Qingni. Su Qingni said, "Your catastrophe is over, and there will be no major danger in the future. However, there will be minor disasters and troubles. They will not harm your life or body, but they will make you unlucky for a while. Unless you turn over a new leaf, stop being arrogant and do some good deeds, you can resolve those minor disasters and troubles. Remember what the Taoist said, and don't do what you did before." The young man's father said sternly to the young man. Then he turned his head and grinned at Su Qingni, saying flatteringly, "Hello, Taoist, I am Li Wennian, the father of this boy. Yesterday you ordered my son to escape the catastrophe, and you are a great benefactor of my Li family. These thank you gifts are the heart of my Li family, and I hope you can accept them." As he said that, Li Wennian waved his hand, and a servant came forward with 3 boxes and placed the boxes in front of Su Qingni. Su Qingni took a look at the box, nodded, and accepted it. This is what she deserves. After all, she saved Li Wennian's son. Li Wennian was happy to see that Su Qingni accepted the thank you gift and was not a noble monk. Li Wennian walked up to Su Qingni and sat down next to her. He said with a smile, "Master, I wonder if I am your destined person." Su Qingni smiled and said, "Your son and I are destined to be together, and Master Li is also destined to be together." Li Wennian was even happier and asked, "Then can you tell me my fortune?" Su Qingni stretched out her right hand and spread her palm. Li Wennian reacted much faster than his son. He immediately took out a silver ingot of 10 taels from his purse and placed it in Su Qingni's palm. Su Qingni took back her right hand, put the silver in her sleeve, and asked Li Wennian, "Are you fortune-telling or face-reading?" Li Wennian thought for a moment and said, "Let's fortune-tell." Li Wennian asked the servant to bring some clean water, dipped his finger in the water, and wrote a word on the table. Su Qingni looked at the word and asked Li Wennian what he was fortune-telling about. Li Wennian said the word career. Su Qingni nodded, looked at the words again, and then looked up at Li Wennian's face. From his face, it can be seen that Li Wennian is a good person. The Li family has accumulated merits for generations, and although Li Wennian's dull and domineering son eats, drinks, gambles, and bullies others, he has never done anything worse, has not killed anyone, and has not ruined his family's merits. This Li Wennian is now in a situation where a dragon is hidden in the abyss. If he is given a chance, he will definitely soar into the sky. Su Qingni said, 7 days later, at noon, you will go out of the city 30 miles west, where your nobleman is. Your nobleman is in trouble. If you can save him, the future of the Li family will be limitless. Thank you, Taoist priest. Li Wennian remembered Su Qingni's words firmly, and quickly took out a silver note and handed it to Su Qingni. Su Qingni accepted it without hesitation. Li Wennian stood up, clasped his fists towards Su Qingni, and said goodbye. Su Qingni put away the banknotes, picked up the 3 boxes, held the white cloth banner, and was about to leave the city and go home. She made a lot of money today, so she didn't need to stay in the county town anymore. In the short term, she would not come to the county town again in the image of a Taoist priest. Chapter 568. A cannon fodder cousin who traveled through time as a village girl. Su Qingni walked out of the city gate. She thought about finding a hidden place to change her clothes, change back to her original appearance and go back to the city. With a lot of money in hand, she naturally wants to buy, and buy some good things to bring back. Of course, this time will not be as exaggerated as last time. Now their family still has to keep a low profile. Lest the people in the village know that their family is rich, they will all run to their house to borrow money or take advantage. This kind of thing has only happened once before. Su Leoer's family is doing business in building a new house. Everyone in the village knows that their family is rich, and they all run to Su Laoer's house to borrow money. But Su Laoer and his wife, who were influenced by Su Qingni, now love money like their lives. How can they be willing to take money out of their pockets and resolutely refuse to lend money to anyone? The villagers are full of resentment towards them, and Su Laoer's family is not popular in the village now. Su Laoer had regretted it at first, but Su Qingni told them that when they had more money, they would buy a house in the county town and move there. They would not have much contact with the villagers in the future and would not care about them. Su Laoer took Su Qingni's words to heart. Su Qingni sneered at this. Su Qingni used modern people's thinking to look at the relationship between the ancient clan and the same village. You must know that in ancient times, the clan and the same village relationship was a reliance for anyone. If a family encountered trouble, the clan and the people of the village would help that family. Su Qingni asked Su Laoer's family to take the initiative to break off the relationship with the village and the clan. If they encountered trouble in the county town, the village and the clan would not help them. Do they think that they will have no worries in the county town? Haha, there are many rich people and local tyrants in the county town. It is not too easy to bully their outsiders. Su Qingni thought while walking towards the grove on the side of the road. After entering the woods, Su Qingni stopped, turned around and said coldly, "Come out." A woman walked out from behind a tree. It turned out to be Su Qingni. Su Qingni noticed that someone was following her. She thought it was someone sent by Li Wennian, or other family members who had heard about the Li family and wanted to find out about her. She never thought that it would be Su Qingni who was following her. Did she find out something? Su Qingni asked coldly, "Why are you following me?" Su Qingni was frightened by Su Qingni's cold aura, but she was not like an ordinary ancient woman. She had a strong psychological quality and reacted quickly. Her knee softened and she knelt on the ground. "Master, please accept me as your disciple." Su Qingni. Su Qingni understood that this girl wanted to switch from the farming route to the route of traveling around the world to hook up with handsome guys after seeing her take action against Master Li's lackey that day. Su Qingni said coldly, "I will not accept you as my disciple." Su Qingni was rejected and was unhappy. She was a time traveler and the heroine of destiny. How could this Taoist priest be so blind as to reject her? Su Qingni was not convinced, but she still put on a respectful expression on the surface and begged, "Master, please accept me. I can endure hardships. I will study and practice whatever kung fu you teach me." Su Qingni, "You are old, and your bones are fixed." Su Qingni hurriedly said, "I am only 15 years old, not very old, and I have been doing farm work since I was a child to exercise my body, which is very suitable for martial arts." Su Qingni thought that Cao Zhuang and Su Xiling were older than her when they practiced martial arts, and Duan Yu was almost 20 when he started to learn beaming divine art. Did these three become masters among masters at that time? The reason why they achieved their later achievements is not because of the protagonist's halo. I am a time traveler, so I naturally have the protagonist's halo, otherwise I would not be so smooth after traveling through time, and I would not be able to separate from the other two families smoothly, get rid of the third vampire family, and make money with my parents and sisters. What's more, I have a golden finger and a spiritual spring space. With spiritual spring water, I will definitely get twice the result with half the effort when practicing martial arts. I don't ask to become the world's top masters like Cao Zhuang, Su Xiling and Duan Yu. I will be satisfied as long as I have the level of this world-class master. When the time comes, I will travel around the world, flirt with handsome guys when I see them, and then choose the most handsome one to develop a stunning love." Seeing that Su Qingni didn't say anything, Su Qingni hurriedly added weight to herself, "Master, if you don't believe me, you can check my physique. My meridians are unobstructed, which is most suitable for practicing internal skills." Su Qingni thought to herself that she had used so many spiritual springs and all the toxins in her body were discharged. How could her meridians not be unobstructed? Su Qingni said, "I can see." Su Qingni was happy. This Taoist has a good eye. Is he going to accept me as his apprentice? But he only heard Su Qingni say, "But I will not accept you as my apprentice, no matter what." "Why?" Su Qingni turned from joy to anger and questioned. Su Qingni stared at Su Qingni with deep eyes and unfathomable expression, "Because you are an outsider, a person who has taken over another body, our Taoist sect will not accept people like you." Her true identity was actually seen through. Su Qingni felt cold all over and her teeth were trembling. This person actually saw that she was not her original body, but a time traveler. The Taoist priests in this world are so powerful? Exclamation mark. What will he do to her? Will he expose her and let her be tied up and burned to death by her original body, her parents, relatives and people around her? Or will he kill his own soul himself? Su Qingni was so scared that cold sweats came out. Suddenly, she screamed, jumped up from the ground, turned around and ran quickly, and disappeared from Su Qingni's side in a short while. Su Qingni laughed and frightened Su Qingni, and she felt very happy. However, as a Taoist priest, she really couldn't appear again in the short term. Su Qingni hid behind a tree that two people could hug together, took off his Taoist robe, pulled down his beard, wiped off the makeup on his face, changed back to his farm boy's clothes, wrapped up his clothes in the 3 boxes given by Li Wenyan, and returned to the county town leisurely. Su Qingni bought some cakes and a piece of pork, bought a silver hairpin for Li, bought an inkstone for Su Laozhen, bought a set of pens and ink for Su Qingni, and went home happily. When she returned home and handed the silver note of 100 taels to Li, Li's hands were shaking. With this 100 taels, she didn't have to worry about her family's livelihood in the future. Not to mention the cost of her husband's going to the provincial capital to take the exam, she also had the cost of going to the capital to take the exam. My son, this family is thanks to you. Li said to Su Qingni with emotion, no wonder my son was favored by the gods, my son is amazing. Su Qingni smiled and handed the 3 boxes given by Li Wenyan to Li. Mom, look, this is a gift from my first customer. Open it and see what's inside. Chapter 569 The Cannon Fodder Cousin Who Traveled Through Time and Space. What was the gift Li Wenyan gave? A beautifully crafted Taoist robe, which was completely different from the gray Taoist robe Su Qingni had worn before. Su Qingni had previously relied on her temperament to win, and she looked like a deity in the gray Taoist robe, but if she wore this Taoist robe, she would be a real deity. A jade whisk, high-end and classy. A jade crown for tying hair, also high-end and classy. Su Qingni pretended to be disappointed, I thought there were gold and silver in it. What's the use of these things? Li couldn't help laughing, mother will put it away for you, maybe you will need it again someday. Su Qingni nodded, then you keep it first, mother. If our family is out of money one day, these 3 things can be sent to the pawn shop to exchange for some money. Li hurriedly said, such good things, how can we send them to the pawn shop? Besides, our family has more than 100 taels of silver now, we are not short of money. Well, we are not short of money. Su Qingni said hurriedly, if I am short of money, I will earn it again. The mother and son were talking happily, and Su Qingni ran in and hugged Su Qingni's waist. Brother, brother. What's wrong with you? Su Qingni pulled the child off herself and asked puzzledly. The child looked at Su Qingni and pleaded, brother, I won't go to the private school. I will study at home. If there are words I don't know or the meaning of the scriptures I don't understand, I will ask you, okay? Su Qingni understood that the child didn't go to the private school because he was afraid that his family would spend money to send him to school. Although Su Qingni had taken back more than 30 taels of silver before, the family had to repair the house and leave most of it for Su Laozhen to take the exam. The child thought that the family had no money and didn't want the family to spend money to send him to the private school, so he said that. Su Qingni didn't tell Su Qingni that she had earned 100 taels today. She took out the remaining 3 taels of silver from buying things from her purse and put it in the child's palm. This money is what my brother earned today. Take it and go to the private school to pay for the tuition. Don't worry, my brother is now able to make a lot of money. My brother also bought meat today, and we will have meat tonight. The child held the silver in his hand. It's a lot. I have never seen so much silver. My brother is so powerful. I really don't have to worry about the tuition. The child looked at his brother with starry eyes, and then returned 1 tael of silver to Su Qingni. Brother, the tuition doesn't need 3 taels of silver, 2 taels is enough. Su Qingni took back the 1 tael of silver with a smile, patted the child's head, please keep the silver. Tomorrow when your brother is free, I will take you to the private school to register and meet the teacher. Tonight's meal is very rich. Su Qingni bought pork, and Li cooked half of it and made 3 meat dishes. Su Qingni also bought a fish. This day's dinner is better than the one the old Su family had during the New Year before the separation. The family was eating dinner happily, and suddenly, there was a shout outside the yard. It's the second brother's voice. Su Laozhen said. Li frowned. Since the separation, they have stopped communicating with us. Why are they here again now? Li turned to look at Su Qingni. Zio-san, could it be that they saw you selling meat and now want to take advantage of you? That shouldn't be the case. Su Qingni said. She was sure that when she bought meat, there were no acquaintances nearby. Then why did he come to her house? Li was puzzled. Su Qingni didn't understand either, so she waited for Su Lao-san to express his intentions. While Li and Su Qingni were talking, they took Su Qingxi to clean up the table and bring the remaining food on the table into the kitchen. They couldn't let Su Lao see them eating meat. Fortunately, they had finished their meal. Although there were leftovers, because of the cold weather, the leftovers were cold and had no fragrance. There was no meat smell left in the room for Su Lao to smell. However, Su Lao didn't even enter the yard, but only said a few words to Su Lao-san at the gate of the yard. Then Su Lao-san called Su Qingni loudly. Su Qingni quickly ran out of the kitchen and asked, "Dad, what did you ask me to do?" Su Lao-san said anxiously, "Your third cousin is missing. Come with me to look for your cousin." Third cousin? Isn't it Su Qingni? Why did she disappear? Could it be that she was scared by me today, and was really afraid that if I told people about her possession of a body, she would be burned as a monster, so she ran away? Su Qingni asked Su Lao, "Second uncle, when did the third cousin disappear?" Su Lao was extremely anxious now. Su Qingni was the god of wealth in their family. They were counting on Su Qingni to lead the whole family to make more money. How could they not panic when she disappeared all of a sudden? Su Lao's family had long noticed the changes in Su Qingni, but they didn't say anything because they were counting on Su Qingni to lead them to make a fortune and enjoy happiness. After lunch today, Qiwen said she had something to do and left alone. We didn't pay much attention to it at the time. But after we had packed up our stalls, Qiwen hadn't come back yet, and I was a little worried. At that time, we thought she might have gone home, but when we got home, we couldn't see her at all. Could something have happened to this girl? Zio-san, you must help second uncle and help second uncle find your third cousin. Su Qingni nodded. Second uncle, I will definitely try my best to help find her, but I don't know if I can find her. It has been so long, maybe Su Qingni has already left the county. Su Qingni thought of this and asked, Second uncle, is there any money missing from your family? Money? Su Lao was startled, turned around and ran to his home. I'll go back and take a look. The result was that the money was not missing, so Su Qingni should not have left on her own. Su Qingni overturned her previous speculation and couldn't help but wonder if Su Qingni had an accident. Uncle Su had already found all the men in the village and asked them to help find Su Qingni. At this time, Su Lao's family had not moved to the county town. Although they had some unpleasantness with the villagers because of borrowing money, their family had lived in the village for so long after all, and the villagers regarded them as their own people. If they were in trouble, the villagers would still help. So everyone took the village as the center and went in all directions to look for people. Su Qingni asked Su Laosan to follow Su Lao all the way. He used the excuse that he was fast and chose a direction to run out of everyone's sight. Su Qingni came to the grove where she separated from Su Qingni in the afternoon, found the traces left by Su Qingni in the woods, and followed the traces to find people. After Su Qingni left the woods, he did not return to the county town, but ran to the west. There are several continuous hills in the west. The mountains are not very high and the forests are not very dense, but there are still man-eating beasts in the mountains. Chapter 570 The cannon fodder cousin who traveled through time as a village girl. Su Qingni wouldn't be eaten by a man-eating beast, right? Su Qingni chased after him with this guess. Entering the mountain, Su Qingni's sharp nose smelled the smell of blood. Could it be that Su Qingni was really unlucky enough to be eaten by a beast? Su Qingni quickly ran over following the smell of blood and found a pool of blood on the ground. The blood had dried up and there were traces of dragging on the ground. Su Qingni followed the traces of dragging and looked forward. Not long after walking, a fire appeared in her sight. The fire came from a simple yellow mud house. This yellow mud house was built in the mountains and forests. It should be the house of a hunter living in the mountains. Su Qingni walked into the house without knocking on the door and looked inside through the cracks in the mud wall. This house should be an abandoned house of a hunter. There was no furniture in it, only a fire and two people. One of them was Su Qingni. The girl looked fine and healthy. A young man was lying on the haystack beside her. The man's facial features were very good, and the clothes he wore were even better, a brocade suit that not ordinary people could afford. Su Qingni's eyes fell on a jade pendant on the man's waist, which was engraved with dragon patterns, a dragon with 4 claws. Su Qingni laughed. Su Qingni was indeed a time-traveling girl, with the luck of a heroine. On the one hand, she refused to teach her martial arts, and on the other hand, she was able to save an injured prince and grandson. Is this a heroine drama in which a village girl leaps from a branch to become a phoenix, a prince's consort, and then a queen? Seeing the two people in the room, Su Qingni turned and left. She was still worried about Su Qingni's safety, but she didn't need to worry about her at all. She was lucky and would not be in danger. She didn't go home to save her long-term meal ticket for the future. Su Qingni returned to the village and met Su Laozhen and Su Laoda's family on the way. Su Qingni called Su Laozhen home. "No, your third cousin hasn't been found yet." Su Laozhen was unwilling to go home. Su Qingni said, "It's hard to find someone if we look for them aimlessly, and it's getting dark, which makes it even harder to find someone. Why don't we go home and rest first, and then go out to get information tomorrow? Besides, maybe the third cousin will go home by herself tomorrow." Su Laozhen stared at Su Qingni's face for a long time, agreed, and said to Su Laoda, "Brother, Xiaozhen is right. My younger brother decided to go back with him to rest. What about you? Will you continue to look for her or go home to rest?" Su Laoda, like most people, favors boys over girls. He originally thought that Su Laoda mobilizing the whole village to find a girl was a bit too much, and he was busy all day, so he just wanted to rest, so he didn't have the mood to find a girl. Go home and rest," Su Laoda said, and turned around and walked back to the village. Su Laozhen and Su Qingni followed him. When he returned to the village, Su Qingni found that most of the villagers had returned. Everyone had the same idea as Su Laoda. It was getting late, how could they find someone? Others didn't find it, but it got hurt. Even Su Laoda's family returned to their home unwillingly. The next morning, Su Laoda's family did not go to do business, but begged the villagers to help find Su Qingni again. Some villagers had to work and refused, while some people who had nothing to do participated in the search, but found nothing. Su Qingni was just playing soy sauce and ran around aimlessly with everyone. On the third day, the villagers gave up and said that something bad might have happened to Su Qingni. She was so beautiful that she might have been captured by human traffickers. Su Laoda's family could not find anyone and had to give up. Fortunately, they had mastered the skills of Odin and egg cakes. With these two foods, they could continue to make money. Zheng and Xiaoxiang were relieved. As Qingni's closest people, they naturally discovered that Qingni might no longer be their daughter and sister. But Qingni is very powerful now, and the family still relies on Qingni to make money so that they can live a good life. They pretended that they had not discovered anything and were good mothers and daughters and sisters with Qingni. In fact, they were very scared, afraid that the evil spirit in Qingni's body would swallow their souls one day. Now, Qingni is gone, and they are safe. However, the two people were lucky not long before Qingni came back. On the 7th day of Qingni's disappearance, Qingni came back in a luxurious carriage. There were many things on the carriage, which were gifts that Qingni brought back for her family. The whole village was spreading Qingni's experience and envied her. Su Qingni heard from everyone that Qingni met a rich lady and became good friends with a rich lady. The rich lady kept Qingni at her home for a few days and only sent Qingni back now. Rich lady? This prince might be doing something secret, but he actually hid his identity. Su Qingni's heart moved, and the fingers of her right hand moved. The secret of heaven changed, and it seemed to be related to herself. Su Qingni walked in the direction of the induction and entered the West Mountain again. There was a strong smell of blood in the mountains, but there was no injured prince, only a group of men in black chasing a young man. Su Qingni was observing in the dark, and after carefully looking at the man's face, she raised her eyebrows. The man was carrying purple hair and golden light of merit, but he was not from the royal family, which meant that he was very likely to become the founding emperor. The premise was that he could safely survive the 3 disasters and 8 difficulties that God had befallen him before he became the founding emperor. If he survived, Jackie Chan. If he couldn't survive, he would die. Today was the man's death. If no one intervened, the man would definitely not survive this death. Su Qingni took action. Just based on the golden light of merit on this man, she would help this man. Such merit can only be obtained by defending the country and protecting the people. Su Qingni guessed the man's identity. The son of Xianbi Hao, Qin Haobo, the general of Sui Yuan. The Xianbi Hao family is a hero in the eyes of the people. Their family has been stationed at the border for generations, blocking foreign races from invading the Central Plains, defending the country and surrounding the people. For this reason, many sons of this Xianbi Marcus family died on the battlefield. Therefore, the Xianbi Marcus is very respected and loved by the people. Therefore, the Xianbi Marquis's achievements are greater than his master, and their family is the one that the emperor fears the most. Qin Haobo is the eldest son of this Xianbi Marcus. He followed his father to the battlefield at the age of 12. In the past 10 years, he has experienced countless battles of all sizes, won many military merits, and even personally chopped off the head of a foreign prince. His reputation surpasses that of his father. Su Qingni guessed that the prince rescued by Su Qingni secretly left the capital to assassinate Qin Haobo. Qin Haobo is the only man in the Qin family this generation. If Qin Haobo dies, it will definitely be a huge blow to this Xianbi Marcus. At that time, the royal family will secretly take action against this Xianbi Marcus. Chapter 571 The cannon fodder cousin who traveled through time as a village girl. The means and heart of the royal family are really dirty. Su Qingni does not have a good impression of the current court. Don't think that a village and county town are safe and stable, because the village and county town are close to the border town and are under the jurisdiction of Xianbi Hao. Officials dare not wantonly embezzle and oppress the people. But other places are not as stable as here. The people in other places have a bad life. In recent years, natural disasters have occurred in various places. Officials do not appease the people well, and they also embezzle the silver for disaster relief, making the people live very sad. Although there is no cannibalism, the situation of selling children and daughters often occurs. The upper echelons of the court are already corrupt. In addition to being afraid of capable and prestigious meritorious officials, the emperor is indulging in pleasure and not doing practical things for the country and the people. The country's military power is divided into 4 parts. One part is in the hands of the emperor, and the other 3 parts are in the hands of Xianbi Hao and the other 2 generals. The emperor does not trust Xianbi Hao, does not trust one of the generals Du Yonghui, but trusts another general Lu Dingguang very much. This Lu Dingguang was very good at flattering the emperor. He often sent beauties and good things to the emperor, and catered to his preferences, so that the emperor often praised Lu Dingguang as a loyal minister and the person he trusted the most. Su Qingni felt that the emperor was like an old emperor Xuanzong of Tang, and the current situation in the world was somewhat similar to that of Emperor Xuanzong of Tang in his later years. Su Qingni felt that Lu Dingguang was similar to Lushan, but there were many beauties in the harem, none of them were particularly outstanding, and there was no Yang Gifi. Sooner or later, Lu Dingguang would reveal his ambitions and minions like in Lushan. By then, the current court might be overthrown, and another capable person would be needed to restore the country. Therefore, Qin Haobo could not die. Su Qingni took action. Qin Haobo could not hold on and fainted. Before closing his eyes, he saw the figure of a young man helping him block the attack. The person who killed Qin Haobo was a killer trained by the royal family. He secretly did many evil things for the royal family, such as murder and arson. Although they were only the knives of the royal family, most of the sins were attributed to the royal family, but they still had some sins on their bodies. These sins were superimposed together, which was also considerable. Su Qingni did not hold back on these people who had sins, and sent them all to the underworld of this world for trial. After killing someone, Su Qingni walked in front of Qin Haobo and carefully examined Qin Haobo's injuries. Qin Haobo's injuries were quite serious, but unfortunately Su Qingni had just come to this world not long ago, and had not had time to prepare medicine, and had no healing medicine to feed Qin Haobo. Suddenly, Su Qingni's ears moved, and she heard the footsteps of someone approaching. Su Qingni's first reaction was that the prince had sent someone again. But after listening again, the footsteps of the person who came were heavy, and they were ordinary people who did not know martial arts. Su Qingni quickly hid behind a big tree. The footsteps approached, and then the person who came made a frightened scream. One of the voices sounded familiar. Su Qingni looked over quietly and found that it was indeed an acquaintance, Li Wennian, who she had taught on how to meet a noble person. Calculating the time, today is exactly 7 days after she taught Li Wennian, and the location. Qin Haobo is Li Wennian's noble person? Exclamation mark. Li Wennian is also Qin Haobo's noble person, right? From this point of view, she doesn't have to worry about Qin Haobo dying anymore. Su Qingni looked at Qin Haobo's face, and sure enough, from his face, Su Qingni found that he had survived the death crisis. General Qin. Li Wenyan saw clearly the person lying on the ground and exclaimed. Unexpectedly, he also knew Qin Haobo. Li Wenyan hurried forward to check on Qin Haobo, and found that he was still alive. Li Wenyan breathed a sigh of relief. He ordered his men to carry Qin Haobo away, and left people to clean up the mess and deal with the bodies on the mountain. Li Wenyan's voice was very serious. What happened today must not be spread out. If anyone spreads it out, I will send him and his family to the coal mine to dig coal. Did you hear me? Yes. The three little men responded. Seeing that Li Wenyan handled it well, Su Qingni left quietly. When she returned home, Su Qingni found a few flashy things on her table. These things can't be eaten, and they can't be sold for much money. They just take up space at home. Of course, this is just Su Qingni's idea, and others don't think so. Li looked at these things happily, thinking about where to put them. Su Qingni walked over and picked up a root carving that looked simple and rustic. This root carving looked good from a distance, but when you look at it closer, the carving is very rough, not as good as Su Qingni's casual carving skills. Mom, where did these things come from? Li smiled and said, they were sent by Chu Wen. She said they were gifts from a rich lady, and she sent some to us so that we can also get a taste of the happiness of a rich family. Su Qingni chuckled, you want to get a taste of happiness? Are you here to show off? Li smiled and said, everyone knows it, there's no need to say it. Anyway, we're just taking advantage. Su Qingni smiled. So Li and the people in the village thought this way. That's right, if you don't take advantage, you're a bastard. And this is a bargain that someone offered to you on their own initiative. These things look good, but they're actually not worth much. You can't get much even if you pawn them at a pawn shop. Su Qingni said to Li. Li nodded. Mom knows. But they look good at home, especially this bamboo pen holder, which can be used by your father. Su Qingni nodded, and the two of them placed the things in the appropriate places in the house. Not to mention, they look good, and the style of the house has been raised to a higher level. After that, Su Qingni no longer went to the county town every day. She went to the county town occasionally, and she did not pretend to be a Taoist priest. There was a lot of money in the family, so there was no need to rush to make money. Su Qingni went to the county town to buy household supplies and inquire about information. However, whether it was Qin Haobo's injury or the prince's injury and the assassination of the general, they were all confidential events. Ordinary people could not know, and Su Qingni could not find out. But she practiced Qinggong these days. With Qinggong, Su Qingni sneaked into the Li family and the Zhang family, which Su Qingni called Rich Lady, and found out the news she wanted to know. Qingni saved the emperor's third son Huang Fuzhao. Huang Fuzhao did not receive the emperor's order to assassinate Qin Haobo, but it was his own behavior. In addition to being afraid of his Hanbihao like the old emperor, Huang Fuzhao also had personal grievances with Qin Haobo. Huang Fuzhao's white moonlight married Qin Haobo, but died in less than half a year. Huang Fuzhao hated Qin Haobo so much that he wanted to kill Qin Haobo to avenge Bai Yuguang. However, Huang Fuzhao's secret departure from the capital was discovered by his rival, the second prince. Chapter 572 The Cannon Fodder Cousin 13 who traveled through time as a village girl. The second prince didn't know what Huang Fuzhao was doing outside the capital, but that didn't stop him from taking advantage of Huang Fuzhao's absence from the capital to deal with Huang Fuzhao and make him never return to the capital. Huang Fuzhao didn't know that the second prince was plotting against him, so he sent all the secret hands he had trained to kill Qin Haobo. As a result, he had fewer guards around him, and the second prince's men got the chance to attack him. Huang Fuzhao's men died together with the second prince's men. Huang Fuzhao was injured and fled to Zishan, where he was discovered by Su Qingni, who ran to Zishan to relax. Su Qingni knew that he was not an ordinary person when she saw his dress, so a beauty came to save the hero. It just so happened that Su Qingni looked 7 points similar to Huang Fuzhao's white moonlight. Therefore, it was inevitable that the two of them fell in love, although their minds were not pure when they saw each other. The third prince is now recuperating in the Zhang family. His injury is not serious, and he is almost healed now. He is still staying in the county town because of Su Qingni. The men he sent out to assassinate Qin Haobo did not come back, and the third prince knew that the operation had failed. However, those men were secretly raised by him, and even if they died, they could not be traced to him. So he was not too worried. As for Qin Haobo, his injuries were treated by Li Wenyan with good medicine, and he was out of danger. After this incident, Li Wenwen was completely exposed to this Marcus mansion, and his rise to fame was just around the corner. Li Wenwen felt that the Taoist priest who had instructed him was a master, and sent servants to look for the Taoist priest in the county town. However, the servants searched the county town and the villages outside the city, but could not find the Taoist priest. The master has left. Li Wenwen sighed. He and his son were lucky to meet a master who gave them guidance. But this kind of luck is enough once, and he can't be greedy anymore. Qin Haobo was very curious when he heard about Li Wenwen's search for the Taoist priest, and asked Li Wenwen when he was bored. Li Wenwen talked about the magic of the master and the guidance of the master to his family. This is exactly where Li Wenwen's cleverness lies. Now that he is related to this Marcus mansion, the Marcus mansion will definitely investigate their own situation. Instead of hiding the fact that the Taoist priest instructed him to save Qin Haobo and letting the Qin family find out, it is better to speak out frankly and be considered honest by the Qin family. Qin Haobo naturally became interested in the Taoist priest, but the Taoist priest had already left, and Qin Haobo was very regretful. By the way, before I fell into coma, I saw a young man appear and kill the people who were chasing me and saved me. Please help me find this savior. Qin Haobo said to Li Wenwen. Li Wenwen was a little embarrassed. Qin Haobo only said that a young man saved him, but Qin Haobo could not give any specific information about what the young man looked like and how tall he was, so how could he find him? Qin Haobo also knew that this would be very difficult for Li Wenwen, so he said, "It would be best if you can find him. If you can't find him, forget it." When he returned to this Marcus mansion, he would use the power of the Marcus mansion to find the young man. Within the sphere of influence of the Marcus mansion would definitely be able to find someone if it wanted to. Qin Haobo thought so, but he was wrong this time. He thought that the boy could kill so many people in one breath, and his martial arts skills were so strong that he might be related to the martial arts world. He looked for people in this direction. Who knew that the one who saved him was the son of a scholar, a farm boy? This led to Su Qingni following Su Lao's into the land, and no one in the Marquis's mansion could find him. After Su Qingni knew so much news, she returned to the village, picked up the original owner's books, and pretended to study hard every day. After more than half a month, Su Qingni left with Huang Fuzhao and went to the capital. Before leaving, she left 300 taels of silver for Su Lao's family. Su Lao's family was very happy. Su Qingni climbed up the tree to become a phoenix, and their family also prospered. When walking in the village, everyone's chest was high. Su Lao and Zhang were bossy to Su Laohan and Su Laote, looking like a villain. However, their family did not stay in the village for long before moving to the county town. It is said that the house in the county town was bought by Su Qingni for them. The family of four was very happy, but they didn't know that Su Qingni used such a small amount of money to buy off the connection between her body and them, because she didn't want to have anything to do with them anymore. It was not until several years later, when Su Lao's family didn't hear any news from Su Qingni, that they realized it. At that time, their family got into trouble, and the villagers were unwilling to stand up for them, so they thought of Su Qingni, their capable daughter. But Su Qingni didn't tell them where she lived in the capital, and who is the nobleman who took her away. Su Lao's family couldn't find Su Qingni, let alone ask Su Qingni for help. In the end, Su Lao's family spent money to avoid disaster, and returned to the village in disgrace. From then on, they kept their tails between their legs and dared not speak loudly in front of Su Laohan and Su Laote. Since Su Qingni left, Su Qingni would occasionally dress up as a Taoist priest to go to the county town for a stroll, tell fortunes for people and give them some advice in exchange for some silver. The Li family also moved out of the county town. They followed Qin Haobo to settle in the border town. However, many people in the county town knew that the Li family was instructed by the Taoist master. Su Qingni's identity as a Taoist priest is now quite famous in the county town. Whenever she appears in the county town, the rich and powerful families ask their servants to rush to invite Su Qingni to their homes to help tell fortunes. Su Qingni is not hypocritical. She will go to the family that finds her first. However, she still only tells 3 hexagrams, and she won't tell more than that. Others are quite fond of her and think that this is how a master should be. Now Su Qingni's hexagram fee is more than 10 taels of silver, and each hexagram costs 100 taels of silver. In the past 2 years, although Su Qingni has been to the county town less than the number of times on her 2 hands, she has earned thousands of taels of silver. Su Qingni gave Li 500 taels of silver, which made Li so excited that she almost fainted. Li is a smart person. Although her family has a huge amount of money, she never shows it. In the eyes of outsiders, Su Laozhen's family lived a hard life relying on his wife and son to work, but in fact, the Su family had good meals every day, and they could eat meat every 2 or 3 days. However, Su Laozhen read in the house every day and never went out to chat with the villagers. Su Qingni was also told by his mother and brother not to tell others about his meat eating, so that no one in the village knew how well Su Laozhen's family lived. Only Old Man Su and Old Lady Su knew that the third son's family lived well. Li had cooked meat now, so she couldn't send it to the 2 elders every time, lest the Su family knew that Su Laozhen's family lived well and wanted to plot against Su Laozhen's family. Li secretly gave some silver to Su Laozhen and Old Lady Su. Chapter 573 The Cannon Fodder Cousin Who Traveled Through Time as a Village Girl 14. In a blink of an eye, 2 years have passed, and it is the day of the autumn examination again. Su Laozhen is going to the provincial capital to take the exam. Now that the family is rich, Li and Su Qingni don't want Su Laozhen to suffer. In addition to giving him 50 taels as travel expenses, Su Qingni also proposed to go to the provincial capital with Su Laozhen and take care of him along the way. Li agreed with this very much. Compared with Su Laozhen, who is lacking in other aspects except studying, Li trusted Su Qingni, her son who had learned skills from the gods, more. Even the travel expenses were given to Su Qingni by Li, for fear that Su Laozhen would lose the money. With Su Qingni taking care of him along the way, Su Laozhen didn't suffer much and came to the provincial capital smoothly. In the past 3 times, he suffered a lot on the road because of the tight travel expenses and his ignorance of worldly affairs, which led to poor health and became one of the factors affecting his performance in the examination room. This time, Su Qingni helped him solve this problem first. Arriving at the provincial capital, Su Qingni paid a lot of money to book a superior room in the inn, and naturally gave the bed to Su Laozhen. She slept on the floor. However, she did not sleep every night, but meditated to pass the time. The conditions of the superior room were very good, the bedding was very clean, and the room was soundproof. No one disturbed Su Laozhen at night and he could sleep until dawn. A good sleep makes people feel better, and they can concentrate on reading during the day. And when reading in the room, they will not be disturbed by people outside. Su Laozhen was full of emotion. I used to sleep in a big bunk bed. Not only was I unable to sleep at night, but I couldn't read during the day. It really is better to have money. Su Qingni laughed. Then Dad, you must work hard to pass the exam, so as not to waste the money you spent. Su Laozhen nodded seriously. The exam finally came. Su Qingni and Su Laozhen got up early, had breakfast, and went to the exam room. Although it was still dark, a long line had formed outside the exam room. However, the door of the examination room has not been opened yet, so everyone can only wait outside, at least for some time. Su Qingni saw some smart vendors selling wooden stools nearby. Originally, these small stools could be bought for 12 copper coins, but now they cost 100 copper coins. They really raised the price. However, there are many candidates who have rich families. They have been standing for a long time and their legs are sore. They don't care about the dozens of copper coins, so they pay for stools and sit down to rest. Su Qingni also paid for one for Su Laozhen. Su Laozhen didn't have much concept of prices, so he didn't scold Su Qingni for spending money indiscriminately. After about half an hour, the door of the examination room finally opened and candidates began to enter. Su Qingni watched Su Laozhen enter the examination room and returned to the inn with a small stool. The days of waiting were not difficult to endure. Su Qingni stayed in the guest room to make medicine, and 9 days passed in a flash. Su Qingni went to pick up Su Laozhen outside the examination room. Because he had eaten well and had a balanced diet in the past 2 years, Su Laozhen was in good health. Although he was very depressed, he was not sick and did not faint. Looking around, there were quite a few people who fell down as soon as they came out. Su Qingni took Su Laozhen back to the inn and let him have a good sleep. The next day, he got up and ate a big bowl of noodles, and then he seemed to be alive. In the following days, the two of them stayed in the provincial capital to wait for the results. Some candidates from poor families have returned to their hometowns to wait for the results. Su Laozhen originally wanted to go back to his hometown, but Su Qingni said that her family was not short of money, so she let Su Laozhen stay in the provincial capital so that he could know the results of the autumn exam at the first time, and he could also communicate with other students, participate in various literary gatherings, and make connections. Although Su Laozhen was not good at worldly affairs, he had good talent and learning, was smart and good at judging people, and made many friends. Su Qingni's Taoist master was online again. Every time Su Laozhen went to a literary gathering, Su Qingni would dress up as an old Taoist priest and wander around the street, meeting a few predestined people. The first time she met her destined person, naturally, she was not believed. But Su Qingni directly told her destined person what happened in the short term and gave her advice on how to avoid it. This time, in order to make a name for herself, Su Qingni found a very famous playboy in the provincial capital. But this man was like Li Wenyan's son, a playboy, but not a bad person, otherwise Su Qingni would not have found him. If he was really a bad guy, Su Qingni would not care about that person's death. 2 days later, the playboy really encountered what Su Qingni said, and because of Su Qingni's guidance, the man avoided danger. The playboy and his family were both fortunate and grateful, and prepared a generous thank you gift to thank Su Qingni. Su Qingni's reputation as a master spread in the provincial capital again. Su Qingni occasionally showed up on the street again, attracting people in the provincial capital to scramble to ask him to tell fortunes and offer generous divination fees. During the time when Su Qingni was waiting for the results of the autumn examination, he earned thousands of taels of silver. The results of the autumn examination finally came out, and Su Laozhen was on the list this time, ranking 23rd. Su Laozhen was so happy that he started crying while smiling at the list. Su Qingni understood his mood at the moment, because he had failed the exam 3 times before, and Su Laozhen had been ridiculed and looked down upon. Even his brothers had changed their attitudes towards him, and Su Laozhen was under great psychological pressure. Now that he had finally passed the exam, he could finally hold his head high and see if his brother and sister-in-law dared to say that he was a useless person. Su Qingni packed up her bag and followed Su Laozhen back home with honor. The news of his success reached the village before them. When the two returned home, the villagers were waiting at the entrance of the village to welcome the only Jern in the village. Old Man Su and Old Lady Su were surrounded by villagers and stood in the front. Li and Su Qingni stood beside them. The two families of Su Laoda and Su Laor stood behind Old Man Su and Old Lady Su, each with a complicated expression and regret in their eyes. If they had known that Su Laozhen could pass the imperial examination, why did they separate from him? Now, they can't benefit from him too much? Su Qingni saw that Jin and Zhang had bruises on their mouths. It seemed that they were beaten by their men, who told them to whisper in their men's ears and instigate them to separate. This time, Su Laozhen brought honor to his family. Because of his improved status, the entire Su family benefited from it. The fields of the Su family were all registered under Su Laozhen. In the future, those fields would not have to pay taxes, and all the output from them would belong to the Su family. Therefore, Su Laozhen had a great say in the Su family clan and the village. However, Su Laosan was not a person who liked to play with power. After dealing with other people who came to congratulate him, Su Laosan dismissed those who came to his house under various pretexts, saying that he had to study for the next spring exam. However, he could study in seclusion, but Li, the head of the family, could not avoid the people who came to his house one after another. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 574 The cannon fodder cousin who traveled through time as a village girl. Li rejected all the gifts. Her son said that it was easy to accept gifts, but how could she return them? Who knows what those people who gave gifts are trying to do? Her family is not short of money, and they don't need those gifts to enrich their family wealth. As for people, Li would not accept them either. Are you kidding? Wouldn't it be uncomfortable to accept these young maids to find rivals for herself? Some of the people who came to the door were easy to deal with, but some were not, and Li didn't really want to deal with them. These people were matchmakers. Of course, they were not matchmakers for Su Laosan to marry a concubine, otherwise Li would drive them out with a big broom. These matchmakers were matchmakers for Su Qingni. Su Qingni was now 15 years old, 16 years old in lunar age, which was considered an adult in ancient times and could marry a wife. Many families who wanted to establish a relationship with Su Jern set their sights on Su Qingni. Li also felt that her son should get married, And the girls introduced by the matchmaker all sounded good. There was the daughter of a scholar, a young lady from a wealthy family, and the daughter of the county magistrate. But Li did not dare to arrange a marriage for her son without her son's consent. Her son was very opinionated. If he didn't want to, who knew if he would mess it up even if she arranged a marriage for him? So Li called Su Qingni to her side and asked for her opinion. Su Qingni's opinion was, "Mother, my son won't get married." "What? You won't get married?" Li pointed at Su Qingni in surprise. "You won't get married? What about my grandson? What about the incense of the Su family? Su Qingni, don't we still have Zioc? But what about you? After you die, who will break the pot for you? Who will burn incense for you every year in the future?" Li asked worriedly. Mother Su Qingni straightened her face. "My son is a disciple of a god. Which girl can be worthy of my son?" "That's true," Li thought. Su Qingni continued, "Mother, my son is the disciple of a god, and he will become a god on the future. After becoming a god, will he care about the little incense during the annual ancestral worship?" "That's right," Su Qingni continued, "as a disciple of a god, my son is also a half-god, and his lifespan must be longer than that of an ordinary person. If he marries an ordinary woman, when she is full of white hair and wrinkles, and my son is still young, is this scene acceptable?" Su Qingni is now practicing both magic and internal strength. It is impossible for her to live forever, but she can live twice or even twice as long as an ordinary person, and can also maintain a youthful appearance in her 80s or 90s like Li Keishu and Wu Aizi, the big brothers of the Xiaoyao sect. It is indeed unacceptable. Li shook her head when she thought of that scene. "But it's hard to say about your father," Li said hesitantly. Su Qingni thought for a while and said, "Then tell your father about your son being favored by the gods." So, before going to bed at night, Li told Su Laozhen about Su Qingni's situation. Su Laozhen was a scholar and did not believe in ghosts and gods, but Li took out all the hidden banknotes and told him that these were the money Su Qingni earned with the skills of the immortal sect. Su Laozhen could not believe it. He did not even sleep, put on his clothes, and called Su Qingni out of the room. The father and son sat in the yard and began to talk. In order to make Su Laozhen more convinced of her identity as the immortal disciple, Su Qingni took out a talisman she drew in her spare time, used her magic power to activate the paper talisman, and the paper talisman turned into a ball of fire. "Su Laozhen, this can't prove anything. I have seen charlatans in the world before. They used white phosphorus to smear on yellow paper, and the yellow paper could be natural." Su Qingni. "Okay, let's try another way to prove ourselves." Su Qingni did not need to use magic so much trouble, and directly performed Qingguang and jumped onto the tree. "Su Laozhen, I heard that there are martial arts masters in the world who know a skill called Qingguang, which can fly over eaves and walls, and can be several feet high." Su Qingni. "Aren't you an old man who doesn't know much about worldly affairs? How do you know so many things in the world? Tell me, are you pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger?" Su Laozhen patted Su Qingni's shoulder. "Okay, your father believes in you. There must be a master who taught you the skills, otherwise how could you, a farm boy, learn so many skills?" Su Qingni wiped her face and forced a smile. "Thank you, Dad, for believing in me." Su Laozhen laughed. "I am your father, who else can I believe if not you?" Su Qingni's teeth hurt from laughing. She looked up at the sky and said, "Dad, it's late, go to bed early." "Okay, then I'll go to bed." Su Laozhen got up, walked towards his bedroom with a figure-8 step. Su Qingni stared at Su Laozhen's back, thinking that she had really misjudged him before. This cheap father of hers is not really a nerd. This father is quite interesting. Li rejected all the matchmakers, and no more matchmakers came to her door. Everyone said that the Su family had too high standards and looked down on people in the county. Who knows if they were trying to curry favor with the powerful. This statement had some impact on the reputation of the Su family, but the Su family didn't care. They were all leaving, so why would they care about these rumors? Yes, Su Qingni persuaded the other 3 people in the Su family to take Li and Su Qingxi to the capital with Su Laozhen. Su Qingni was very confident that Su Laozhen would pass the imperial examination. First, according to the original fate line, Su Laozhen would pass the imperial examination this time. Second, Su Qingni could read faces, and Su Laozhen had a scholar, a clear spirit, and good luck on his head, so he would definitely pass the exam. Li and Su Laozhen believed in Su Qingni's ability. Su Qingni said so, and they were very happy. believing that Su Laozhen would definitely pass this subject. After passing the exam, Su Laozhen would either be appointed as an official in the capital, or be sent out as a county magistrate, and he would bring his wife and children with him. In this case, it is better for the whole family to go to the capital from the beginning. Anyway, the Su family is not short of money now, and they can buy a house in the capital. Just like this, Su Laozhen took his family to the capital before the new year. The day before departure, Su Laozhen went to see his parents and secretly gave the old couple 30 taels of silver each. All of them were silver ingots. If they were given silver notes, the two old people were illiterate and it was not easy to take them out to spend. With silver, the couple took out an ingot when they wanted to use it, and it could be used for a long time. The old couple wiped their tears, happy and reluctant. The youngest son was successful, but this time he went out, and he didn't know when he would be able to return to his hometown. They were old, and they didn't know if they could see their son again. Su Laozhen also gave Su Laoda 20 taels of silver, asking them to take care of the two old people. In the future, he would have someone bring silver back to them every year. I don't ask for anything else, just ask them to be better to the elderly. When Su Laoda and his wife saw the silver, their eyes were straight, and they promised to take good care of the old couple. Chapter 575 The Cannon Fodder Cousin 16 who traveled through time as a village girl. After a long journey of more than 1 month and almost 2 months, Su Qingni's family of 4 finally arrived in the capital. Su Qingni settled Su Laozhen and Li Su Qingxi in the inn. Although Su Qingni spent a lot of money to buy a carriage for the family, and the journey was not fast, the 3 of them were exhausted after more than a month. Su Qingni booked a room for them, and the 3 of them went back to the room to rest. Su Qingni was protected by internal skills and was in high spirits. She went out to learn about the capital and rented a house by the way. Unsure whether Su Laozhen would stay in the capital after passing the exam, the Su family decided to rent a house first and not buy a house for the time being. The capital is very lively, much more lively than the county town, but under the lively appearance is the darkness and the hardship of people's livelihood that cannot be hidden. However, compared with other places outside the capital, the people in the capital are considered to live well, at least most people have food to eat. Unlike other places, the people are already living in dire straits. When the Su family was on the road, they passed a place where the people suffered severely, and many people were forced to go up the mountain to become robbers and bandits. When the Su family was walking on the mountain road, they encountered several bandits who came out to rob, but they were all driven away by Su Qingni. Su Qingxi saw that his elder brother was so powerful, and he clamored to learn skills from Su Qingni. Reading books in a carriage along the way hurt his eyes, so Su Qingni did not let the child read, and promised to teach him martial arts and let him practice internal skills to pass the time. After such a trip, Su Qingni found that this world was not much like the Tang dynasty in the later years of Emperor Xuanzong of Tang. It was more like the last years of Chongzhen in the Ming dynasty. Disasters occurred frequently in various places, officials were seriously corrupt, and officials forced the people to rebel. Unlike the Ming dynasty, Chongzhen was still a good emperor, and the current emperor was a tyrant. This should not be too far from chaos in the world. Su Qingni was thinking while walking around the capital. She was fast, and it took more than an hour to visit the entire capital. Of course, Su Qingni did not visit the palace and the areas where the dignitaries were. Su Qingni found a brokerage firm and asked a broker to introduce a house to her. The broker listened to Su Qingni's request and took her to see several houses. Su Qingni chose one. The location of this house is good. It is not far from the Imperial Examination Hall, and it is not close to the street. The environment is quiet, which is suitable for Su Laozhen to study at home. However, the house price is not cheap. The rent of other houses is 10 taels a month, and this house is twice as expensive. Su Qingni doesn't care about money. If she loses money, she can earn it again. She readily decided on the house, paid 2 months' rent to the landlord, and gave the broker a commission. She returned to the inn with a signed rental agreement. 2 hours have passed. Su Laozhen and the other 2 have rested enough. They went downstairs to the lobby of the inn to wait for Su Qingni. Seeing him come back, he immediately called the waiter to prepare food. Su Qingni walked to the 3 people and sat down. She took out the rental agreement and handed it to Su Laozhen, and told the 3 people about the rental house. Li felt heartbroken when she heard that the rent was 20 taels of silver per month. Su Laozhen had no idea about this. He just thought that the place Su Qingni rented was good and praised Su Qingni. Li, Okay, since both father and son agreed, she would accept it. Isn't it just 20 taels of silver? When her son left the village, he gave him another 500 taels of silver. She now has thousands of taels of silver on hand. 20 taels is nothing, nothing. Oh, my heart still hurts. After dinner, everyone went to the street together and strolled around casually. Seeing that it was getting dark, everyone returned to the inn. After a night, everyone checked out, left the inn, and went to the rented house. When they arrived at the rented house, Li looked around inside and out and expressed her satisfaction. Although it was a little expensive, the house was really good, with blue bricks and red tiles, solid and spacious. In addition to the main room for entertaining guests, there were 4 other rooms. The 2 sons could live in 1 room each, and there was an extra room for Su Laozhen to use as a study. The yard is also quite big, and some vegetables and fruits can be planted in it, which can save the cost of buying vegetables. Su Qingni asked Li and Su Laozhen and Su Qingxi to clean up the house, and she went out to buy daily necessities and food. Su Qingni bought 2 whole carriages of things and came back. In this way, the family of 4 finally settled down in the capital. Su Laozhen had a quiet environment to study. He stayed in the study every day and studied hard, trying to read more books before the imperial examination. Su Qingni counted the silver and money in his hand, and then thought about the prices in the capital, and felt that he, a Taoist master, had to go out again. Su Qingni told Li about this matter, and Su Laozhen happened to hear it. As for the fact that his own silver and money were obtained by his son pretending to be a Taoist priest to tell fortunes, Su Laozhen did not hesitate for a long time and accepted it calmly. It was not the silver and money obtained by crooked ways, so they spent it with peace of mind. As for relying on his son to support the family, when he passed the imperial examination and became an official, he could support his family by himself. Su Laosan only told Su Qingni to cover her vest well and not let others find out, so as not to bring trouble to himself and the Su family. Su Qingni nodded to show that she understood. After settling in the capital for half a month, Su Qingni changed into Taoist clothes and went out again. However, there were many nobles in the capital, and wearing ordinary Taoist robes was not up to standard. Su Qingni changed into the Taoist robe that Li Wennian gave her as a thank you gift, put on a jade crown, held a jade whisk, and appeared on the streets of the capital with a fairy-like aura. Her appearance immediately attracted the attention of many people. There were many rich and bored people in the capital, and soon someone came to Su Qingni. Su Qingni directly quoted, 200 taels for 1 divination, no bargaining. Perhaps her appearance fooled people. Although many people thought the price was too high, some people thought that since she was a master, it was reasonable to ask for a high price, so someone took out 200 taels of silver and asked Su Qingni to tell fortunes. Su Qingni gave some instructions to the person who gave her money, and left with 200 taels of silver. Tomorrow she would prove what she said, and her fame would spread, and those who gave her money would come to her, and then the divination fee would not be 200 taels. Sure enough, when Su Qingni appeared again the next day, those who wanted to ask her for fortune-telling surrounded her. Su Qingni insisted on only telling 3 fortunes a day, and disappeared immediately after the calculations. This led to the fact that when she appeared again later, the people who asked her for fortune-telling would pay 1,000 taels per fortune. Su Qingni's reputation as a master also spread, especially in the circle of wealthy people. And someone who was already the concubine of the 3rd prince heard the rumor, and the tea bowl in her hand fell to the ground and broke into pieces. "Chuan, what's wrong with you?" the 3rd prince asked the woman, who lost her composure in confusion. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.